So did you see anything about TikTok?
So I saw that obviously I think it was 2024, 2023 that they said that they were going to ban it if somebody didn't own it or buy it, like
Yeah.
uh, in the United States or something. Um, I'm not sure if it was like the parent company had to actually sell it or they had to have majority ownership in the United States. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But then it was supposed to be banned like sometime in January.
I'm pretty sure the 19th now. It was supposed to be the 20th, and then they moved it up a day so that Trump couldn't do anything about it, supposedly.
But I wasn't sure if it was actually going to be banned or if somebody had bought it. I have no idea.
So they're like, it's either gonna be banned if nothing happens, or if somebody doesn't buy it. And then I know Mr. Beast put in an offer. I forget what it was. It was like some ridiculous multi-million-dollar offer for it. And then I saw
He wouldn't be able to make YouTube videos then, would he? Because that's like a conflict of interest.
I don't know. I mean, he probably could he'll figure it out.
But like, I feel like he'd just control.
But I think
his analytics.
You gotta look at Mr. Beast for a second, because he is like, he wants to be Elon so bad, and
that's true.
You know, he methodically probably looks at everything Elon does and says, "How can I do that? How can I get closer to that lane?" And like, he's in such a content sphere that he's not really in like a business space. And if he like owned a social media of his own, he sort of catapults himself into that next level.
But think about how much Elon paid. Like, Mr. Beast does not have anything close to that.
Oh, well, yeah. And people were saying he'd have to take out a loan and stuff.
But like, he wouldn't be able to. Like,
he probably could.
He
probably that like a Squid Games deal type of thing where you just down bad. There's a rich person version of that where you just take a crazy loan from.
I feel like he'd have to have a bunch of people come in and help support.
Because
there's no way that he can just, let's say TikTok's worth $15 to $20 billion, right? And
I wonder.
And he's like, hey, I'll pay you 10. Like, he might have close to 1.
Well, okay. Are they going to lose out on money though immediately because they're not going to be able to be a business in the U.S.? Like, they're just going to lose all that, all those transactions, TikTok Shop, all that stuff just goes under immediately. As far as the U.S. part,
they might as well sell it cheap.
They're forced.
Yeah.
Whereas Elon overpaid because
he did it on purpose though. I feel like because he knew that it was going to be worth a lot, so he didn't. It's like overpaying your taxes, so that way like you can't get in trouble.
Yeah.
So I think he overpaid, so that way they couldn't accuse him of like stealing or bribery or something like that. But anyway,
I don't know. But I also don't think Mr. Beast would know what to do with TikTok, and that's what other people are saying. It would. It's already a brainwash factory, but it would be 10 times worse with Mr. Beast on there. It would just be crazy.
If Mr. Beast is smart, he buys it and then says, "Okay, who wants to buy it?" And now he gets to get like all this capital. Like, he could control getting it. Because like, think about it. What if he bought it super cheap and it's like the price is undisclosed and he got it for like $900 million. Let's just throw a small number out there. Maybe they just were in a dire strait. Let's just get rid of it. He could then say, "Hey, who's willing to pay $3 billion for this?" And now he instantly makes $1.5 billion, like after taxes. Like,
I don't know. I think first of all, TikTok has people in a chokehold. Like the populace, the general people, they're attached to it like crazy. If you took that thing and then did anything with it, you have a chance to make TikTok go viral on top of already being the biggest. It's crazy.
Yeah.
If he took that and then like, do you remember when Snapchat, like it used to just be Snapchat, and then all of a sudden there's like shows on it and like weird stuff. I feel like he'd probably do something like that with TikTok. Yeah. Sort of make it more like, I don't know, creator centric,
which is funny
monetized.
Though, because if you think about it, all like the new social media platforms or already existing, if they change it, it's either like you change it and it gets way better, or you change it and it gets way worse.
Yeah, and in this era, people will completely abandon you.
And I think that it's like a super big gamble, because if he buys it, and he has to have a team to manage it. Right. So who knows if everybody there gets to stay, like everyone employed at TikTok, if they get to stay in their roles. But then what if he tries to change it and it gets like super bad, and like he just can't incorporate anything into it that he wants, and it's just, now he just loses it. Like, just unless he buys it and tries to make it into what Vine was.
See, and like I was just thinking Vine. That's the key, is actually reverting it back to Vine, but making it like because they tried to bring MySpace back. That didn't really work. Like, we never really got a retro social media properly. If he could do that and deliver, and it's not like, you know, because he pretty much just makes kid centralized content. But if he really made something for adults, I guess that would do a lot for people, like elevating his status publicly. You know.
Yeah, I could see him doing a lot of what was the game? There used to be a phone game where it was like I don't know if it was millions, but tens of thousands of people would like log in, and there was a giant quiz game, and then everybody.
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, what was that?
I forget what it was called, but it was like Quizora or something weird. But like I could see him doing live stuff like that on his
Yeah.
app to try to get engagement up. Because he already gives away so much money that you'd feel like he would just have one of those going every second to just give away money. Like, and then he could have, oh, like you want to participate in one of my videos right now? Like then
His taxes have to be crazy. Like,
I think a lot of his write-offs though.
yeah, but that's also why it's so crazy because the things he's writing off, the amount he's writing them off, it's like it's almost impossible to validate anything.
Yeah, but apparently his chocolate company is, I mean, it's made a lot. Like his revenue, his margins are high, so I'm guessing.
Didn't they change it because like people didn't like it at first? That's what I heard.
Oh, they might have changed it, but like I heard him talk about briefly on some podcast, and I think he was saying that it's hard to compete because they're so small. Compare like the flavors and everything, but I think that it's gonna be. I think it's just growing and getting bigger, just like Hershey's would. Just kind of like what Prime did. How at first it was just
Prime took over.
Yeah, but like
Kind of.
the one thing I'm frustrated with is
They almost took over.
When COVID happened, when they released it, I was able to get my hands on them before the regular public did because of a place that I worked at, and they tasted way better then than they do now. And it's because when you like the production chain, whenever you like increase volume, you have to start taking cheaper ingredients to make your profit margin go up.
Makes sense.
So it doesn't. I think the ingredients, what I've seen, have changed, and they don't taste as good. Whereas at first it was
I've never even had one.
Dude, when they first came out, it was like liquid gold. It was so good, like, cause it actually tasted like coconut water mixed with some sort of thing that tasted like Gatorade, and it tasted really good. And I was like, oh, this is legit the new Gatorade. It's healthier than Gatorade, sugar content wise, like it's electrolytes. Like this is gonna take over. And now that it has taken over, I'm like, it's just Gatorade. Like, it's
but
not
you know
what it was.
That's what we like to do nowadays. We just reinvent the wheel all day.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's like somebody else I forget what it was. Somebody else was talking about how it's like it's putting new rims on an old car and trying to say it's a new vehicle. It's like it's the same car it's been for like generations before us.
It's all branding.
It is
all branding, and it's.
But
great.
If they can make us think that we're inventing stuff, like that's genius marketing, you know?
Yeah. Body Armor's, I mean, owned by Coca-Cola, but they're doing the same old thing as Prime, and it actually tastes.
I actually like Body Armor.
I love
they're
Body
pretty
Armor.
good.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're like you really need some electrolytes, they kick ass.
Yeah.
But did you see Zuckerberg and like what he has going on right now?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm still torn. I know a lot of people are talking about this, but I'm torn if he's being consistent or if he's apologizing and saying, "Hey, I was tricked. You know, I'm not going to go back," or if he's doing the thing of like, "Hey, this is a business. I have to do what's right for my business, so I'm just going to go to the winning side."
I think it's 50-50.
Yeah.
It's like you might as well embrace the thing that you're going to fake because you can fake it better that way. But also, if you can embrace where you're going to be embraced and you're running away from the place where it's crumbling anyway, you might as well just go that direction.
I have a feeling that he's almost like, "Hey, I told you so" to the people that were running his company. Because you see the way he's changed, like the way he looks now, like him and Bezos, all these people are just getting in shape, their hair, they look more cooler and stoic. Like I feel like he's like, cool, this is the new me. I'm going to have my platform like reiterate like what I am. And I think he's kind of taking the control back. But if it doesn't work out, or if not that doesn't work out, but if stuff goes the other way again for some reason, then I feel like he'll be like, oh, okay, that didn't work.
Yeah, I think he would easily revert for sure. Yeah. He's probably got so much like he's not like he might be into jujitsu and doing whatever he's got going on right
Yeah.
now, but like he's being babied the entire way. You know, he's got
Yeah.
so much money that anything he does, he'll be insulated 100%. He has
Yeah.
a safety net, you know, and so he might be into it and that's cool and he might be about it. But yeah, if something went wrong and like the left all of a sudden had a secret plan.
But like at the same time, if that happens, then X goes down. So I feel like it's not going to go back because it's been such a jump.
I think he's
From
trying
where
to
we
be
were.
like, I think he's trying to sort of align himself with Elon. And I don't know, like him and Bezos are always in big competition, but I think he also wants to like separate himself from Bezos and be like all more red pilled and youth focused and like try to rebrand that identity. Whereas Bezos is an old man, sort of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you think he's going to try to get his own rocket company?
I wouldn't be surprised because you know what? Doesn't Bezos have some crazy?
Blue Origin, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like I feel like that's the next step is to be like, okay, I'm a billionaire. Okay, I have a social media platform, and now I have a rocket. Like, it's
Okay,
so
but it's
weird.
crazy.
It's so weird that that's like the next step is like, okay, you have to get a rocket program now, because like I feel like that's the next step for Zuck.
CEO to spaceman pipeline is like unheard of.
So what's
but
next? That's what
I
I'm
don't
thinking
know.
is like, what would be like? It have to be arms dealer. Like they'd have to make like
I mean, it's gonna be like Halo or Star Wars or something real soon.
yeah.
Probably.
What's the word? Like the power weapons. Like when they're doing it now, whether it's like energy weapons
Oh,
or whatever.
yeah.
Direct energy weapons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
And that has to be like what Elon's working. And that's another topic that I wanted to bring up actually about Elon. Do you think he's being legit?
No,
I think
not entirely.
I think that he's 20%. Sure he's for free speech. Sure he's for all this. I think he is a very good gambler and a very good reader of the times. And I feel like he's like, this is my best opportunity. Like electric vehicles, he did that. And Tesla wasn't the first popular electric vehicle, but he got in when he got in and he grew it to what he did. Now he's getting into the, like, he got into Starlink, he got into SpaceX. And I feel like he's just putting his foot exactly where he needs to until he has full control. And I'm not saying monopoly control, but like he has full control that he could then just flip the switch and be like, hey, it's done. Like
He's acquiring all the pieces.
yeah. Like, and so once he acquires all the pieces, I think a lot of it, because he always talks about population. I think he's so smart that he's not trying to hide everything. And he knows that a lot of people are stupid, that he's like, he talks about some stuff that is like true, like population control and stuff. So part of me feels like Mars is just an idea to get rid of people. Because my opinion, that's the dumbest thing ever. You can't put people up there.
Doesn't make sense to
You
me
can't
either.
keep people alive. Who's going to go up there and risk having an air hole in the side of their freaking building and everyone just gets vacuumed and just dies? Like, part of me is thinking, hey, you send people up there, how do you track if they're alive or not? Because you could fake like they landed perfectly, but you just have them crash land and you're just getting rid of people. Like,
Well, also it's like if you convince people there's like this new hope to
Yeah.
go over there, and it's like all of the future of humanity rides on you, and it's like you'll convince them to do anything. Like what are the steps before you get onto the ship? What do you have to do? Like that's a shitload of work that nobody
Yeah.
wants to do. That probably is working on something else, you
Yeah.
know. And it's like people are super easily manipulated, but you let them be a real astronaut. Like you let the TikTok generation be an astronaut.
yeah, everyone's just gonna kill themselves up there. I also think that he is obviously a really good businessman, and I think one of the reasons that he could be faking it is because Trump is super into deregulation, which is a very big conservative thing, which is great. And obviously, Elon wants to take control of that because the less regulation means that he gets to move his companies forward very, very quickly.
Right.
And he doesn't have to worry about like all the constraints and stuff. Like in my opinion, by the 5 or 6 years, he's going to be his own separate like country entity that's just dishing out almost like a Tony Stark of just like dishing out arms, dishing out
But
like all these things.
I would say realistically, it's a 50-50 whether he's that's a good way to put it. He's either Tony Stark or he's like a Lex Luthor, you know. And we're waiting to find out. We obviously don't know his full opinions and plans on everything, but I mean, we're gonna find out real quick, and or we really might never find out, but ultimately, because he might detach from the things that he's doing. Like right now, he has a hand in everything, or at least so we think. But if in the future he just started like, I don't know, having other people do stuff, putting the final pieces into place without his hand necessarily needing to be in there, like, you know, he's not going to get blamed for everything. He could sort of play the good guy and the bad guy and do the bad guy role at the same time.
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Like, I think that that's what he's going to be about, is just like you said, 50-50. Either he is 100% genuine or he's hiding a bunch of stuff.
Well, I think that's anybody, but also I think the same thing, like even Trump. It's like I hope, you know, that everything is on the up and up, everything is good, right? But there's totally, you know, he would be a valuable piece to sway to the other side, and like, you know, it'd be easy to do. Everybody else is manipulated so easily. And we like to think, you know, he's the one. Obviously, you know, they're throwing everything at him, and you know, he's still standing strong. But it's like, one piece of information changes everything. You know, how many back and forths have we had? You know, one week Kamala had a strong speech, and like everything, the narrative changed for everything all of a sudden. You know, it's like 1 week to the next it's ridiculous. Yeah. So I don't know. He could really be, you know, doing some shady things easily, but I really don't think it's the case. And same with Elon. I think he's probably like he has good intentions, you know. Of course there's profit to be made. Like nobody's perfect. You're gonna make money off of, you know, at the end of the day, I'm sure there's, you know, slave labor attached to certain things or whatever on some sort of level. But I don't know. From the top, I don't think he's out to hurt anybody. And you know about the MAGAverse thing? No. I saw it trending on Twitter today. I was like, what is this? It's MAGAverse. And so it's like I don't know, it's like a Avengers multiverse sort of like comic cartoon world of Trump, Elon, Joe, like all these different people. They're trying to throw this sphere together, and they're kind of creating this, like, they're branding it all of a sudden and making it a narrative that's maybe it's not even Elon saying these things. It's not Joe saying these things, because we do listen to Elon, we do listen to Joe. But then we formulate our own things. We say whatever. But it's like they're trying to it's not even from their mouth. They're making cartoons of them saying stuff.
That's like Cold War propaganda.
Exactly. But you know how they do those like AI of like Obama and everybody? But it's like they're sort of doing that now because, you know, like they're the new mainstream media sort of as well. So it's like now they're just propagandizing it. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird. I've also started thinking about like in regards to Elon and Trump and all that, like, the World War or the Revolutionary War or something's going to have to take place in order to keep, because I think the next 4 years is going to be absolute greatness. Like what a lot of people haven't seen, especially in our lifetime, because when we were born, Bush was just leaving and then Obama was coming in and stuff like that. So I think the next 4 years are going to be this huge boom that we haven't seen like in our generation. And I feel like the tip of the iceberg is going to be like, okay, we can't lose this control. And like, are you guys going to band with me and like help stop? Like there could be a possibility, but like in my mind, it's like, which figure is going to do that? Is like, who's going to be that person who's like, hey, I'm the revolutionary. Like we can't go back. Cause it's either going to be, cause Trump, you saw on January 6th, people were just like, I'm not going to rush it's America, it's democracy. Like I'm not gonna rush in there and stop the election. Like, but then is it gonna get to the point where it's this person says, "Fight with me"? Like, I wonder who that revolution. It could happen on either side.
I feel like it'll be a slow, like boiling. It like the tensions will get definitely. They always do.
They're gonna
get tensions
so
rise to a point where it seems like something has to happen. Yeah, and then something unexpected happens to where it's like, okay, now we reset the boiling. To the, but it's gonna, we know tensions, so it's like we just keep moving the goalpost back of like the timeline of things, and we seem to get away with doing that pretty well. Like every week, it seems like there's some new event that comes out that's like that'll for sure be World War III, you know, whatever. And it's like we think we get done with like Ukraine, and then Biden all of a sudden does some stuff, and you know, it's like narratives go, and then we forget about them, and then they come back when somebody does something, and it's like, oh yeah, that was a plot point.
Yeah.
you know. But we do a good job of like forgetting things pretty well. I think they let us see a lot of stuff, and then they like, I don't know if they do like that Men in Black thing and just somehow with propaganda or whatever, but we just forget stuff
Yeah.
all the time.
It's like this whole fires thing going on right now. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
anyone who thinks that that's a natural thing, you're a freaking idiot. Like somebody set that stuff on fire.
But also, like, who you don't know what to believe because I mean, I saw a video of somebody hitting a flaming golf ball, and they were like trying
Yeah.
to say that's what started it, and it's like
That's
people
an
are
old
eating that
video.
up. I know,
Yeah.
but they're eating it up.
Yeah, but I think everything is just mass manipulation at one time. And I think, I mean, I'm going to get into this later, but like the control and manipulation of like people don't understand or realize like third world countries have to worry about food and water and we don't. So it's like we're so distracted because our world's perfect that if everything comes crumbling down, the United States is kind of going to crumble down. But if they're manipulating us into that, then
Yeah.
we'll just like,
Well, okay, so it's kind of ironic that like, I mean, of course, you know, California wildfires are nothing new, but
sure.
this is a different incident, and then a couple of these last incidents have been sort of sketchy, and
Yeah.
then tying into the Maui fires, and
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of skepticism in the air regarding this stuff in the first place. But it's kind of ironic the fact that California has been on fire, you know, not literally, but just their politics and the way that they've just let the state operate, and you know, the crime and the drugs and the
Yeah.
cartels and all these different things. And then now they're on fire, and they're like, it seems symbolic to me. It doesn't like, it seems like they want to an extent. Of course, there's insurance and all sorts of other things, and you know, shady dealings behind the scenes. But I think they want to send a message. It's like, see what happens. It's like they almost want us to feel bad about like them losing. You know, it seems like they're trying to manipulate our feelings somehow.
Yeah.
In this thing, and they do it all the time. And I mean, tragedies are tragedies. You know, people get hurt, people die, but they always find some way to just, you know, pull your heartstrings or do something and pull some agenda in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. It always bothers me.
Yeah. I always thought of like, if China's doing this, like, right, let's say for just argument's sake that China's the one who started this fire, right? They had a drone, did something, and then they started it.
Okay.
What if they're just trying to see response time? Like, what if our government did it just to see response time? It'd just be like, okay, because I think Joe was talking about it on his podcast with his buddies that they were saying if the bomb went off, it would be a lot less. It would look like a lot less fire-wise, though.
Oh yeah.
But what if you did that? Now you get to see, okay, this is the type of destruction a bomb fire would do. Like, let's say a carpet bombing or some sort of bomb, but it set off fire, right? And it starts a giant fire. Okay, that's the amount of destruction it would do, right? I mean, obviously there'd be other reasons why they would want to do it in that area because it's a very
I
affluent.
could see whether it's a bomb or not, just seeing like what the dollar amount and damage of destroying an area, but also the effects psychologically on people in a controlled area, you know, of whatever they're trying to say. But also in a modern area that's up to date, you know. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's all sort of social experiments at a certain point, like the states, just in general. Of course, I think, you know, Texas was actually, you know, they were their own country, but they also, the flag of Texas, the Lone Star, they sort of invented the entire American flag before the American flag was invented. You know, somebody else gets credit for inventing the American flag.
Oh, I
It's
didn't know
literally just the Texas flag idea. They saw that and said, we'll do that with all 50, right? But Texas was its own thing. It was its whatever. It's sort of the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
But then it also got copied. But all the other states and everything, it always seems suspicious to me, like, because they all have different laws, and that seems good on paper, but there's always weird laws, and there's always weird like intersections where you know, we always find like reasons to debate between state to state in weird cases, and like Florida's known for being crazy, and like, why is that? Probably because of a series of things that are set up there, you know. But all those things, they seem like social experiments that like, one state's like this, how does that go? One state's like this, how does this go? And whether you want to say it's like super malicious, like like in the game Fallout, they do like experiments in all the specific vaults, and it's like,
Mhm.
you know, literal scientific experiments on the people. But they do stuff like that sometimes, you know, whatever that stuff about giving people syphilis was like 100 years ago or whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, so I never know what to think.
Yeah. I also heard somebody talking about like using seawater would like ruin the soil and stuff. So,
Where in California?
yeah, like if you dump seawater on it, like all that salt gets into the ground and it would ruin the soil.
I suppose that's true.
So it'd be interesting. Like, I know I saw a lot of ships going out and getting water.
Yeah.
So it'd
I mean,
be,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah. But I'm just saying that's like I don't know. It goes back and forth in my head, but like that was just such weird timing to have it happen then, because I think the Maui fires.
That was like a year ago. No, maybe not even.
But I feel like it was right before the midterms.
They always like the timing of these things always seem
Yeah, like
crazy.
that's why I'm like because it will be of a 6 month span of nothing, and then there's something.
Yeah, well, it's always one of these things, and
Because think of the narratives, right? Like it's like, okay, we ran out of, like for the media, it's like, oh, we ran out of that one. We need another one so that way it carries everybody back into the next
well,
one.
like even during COVID and stuff, like or like the post COVID sort of era
Yeah.
where they still sort of needed COVID to be there, but it wasn't really. So they'd come up with these isolated things for us to care about.
Yeah.
Like I remember Buffalo, New York got frozen over real bad, and
Yeah.
it's like everybody was getting carjacked and all this whatever when it thawed, and like
Yeah.
you know, but it's like there's always some sort of fund or cause or whatever, and there's always some sort of destruction and
Yeah.
lack of insurance or insurance involved. And yeah, it all seems crazy to me. But I think people just do shady stuff and get away with it. Like that's my honest opinion.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like crazy to think there might people made money off of that. That's really shitty for them to do.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that like average people know that. Somebody came up to me the other day and was like telling me, you know, oh, it's conspicuous that State Farm canceled all this, you know, whatever. It's like this is somebody I met randomly, and
Yeah.
like 2 minutes in, they're telling me all this stuff, you know, that the average person thinks that's sketchy. I don't trust that.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the truth, to be honest.
Yeah. But hey, I don't freaking live there, so.
Do you so I just found this out today. Trevor what is his name? Trevor Moore died. Do you know who that is?
No.
So he didn't just die. He died like in 2021. But did you ever see The Whitest Kids You Know?
No, I didn't know.
WKYK. So it was like you can find a whole bunch of compilations on YouTube and stuff, but it was this channel back in the day. They did like sketch comedy humor on the internet. Sort of back like even before, I want to say, do you remember like College Humor?
Yeah, like Lonely Island, College Humor, like.
But it was like before that era. It
Oh,
was like
wow.
pretty early internet.
Okay.
This dude was 41 when he died in 2021, but he was like probably, I don't know, in his 20s when I was watching him in like fourth grade, fifth grade,
wow,
maybe.
okay,
like I
I-
got put onto this. It was
Yeah, I
just
don't-
internet videos, and it was just like, okay, whatever. But the videos that they would make, a lot of them were just goofy, and it was like, you know, some of them are just ridiculous stuff. You can go find it. It's all like early super memeable stuff. But then some of the stuff that, especially this Trevor Moore guy, would just kind of slip in there would be like, whoa, especially for that time and on YouTube and just available to children to watch. It was super like conspiracy truth stuff that he just kind of put out there.
Oh.
And it's just like, he really rode that line a lot in his career, I guess. But you know, he's just a internet comedian. But I'll still see clips of him on just TikTok or YouTube Shorts or something of just like some crazy, like mind blowing, like, ooh, that's a big truth bomb.
What's his name?
Trevor Moore. Yeah, you might recognize a photo of him. But yeah, so he died. The crazy thing, I was just like, damn, he died. And my first thing was like, nah, that's crazy. He died because he's the dude that's really putting some truths out there. He's like damn near a whistleblower, but in disguise. And so he died. The way that he died is also crazy. Like nobody else seems to think this is crazy from what I saw on the internet, but me. And I think this is wild. So supposedly they ruled it an accident. He was drunk off moonshine and fell off of a 2-story balcony in his own backyard, late at night in LA.
Yeah.
There was no witnesses, and it was just ruled an accident, and then that was it.
Huh. Yeah. So,
But it's just like it's always an accident,
yeah.
you know. And so yeah, that was just crazy to me. I don't know, just random thing I saw, but I was surprised.
Nowadays, when you see people that are like, oh, they committed suicide or they jumped off a building, it's like, sure.
Yeah,
Like I don't know what the guy's name was that played in the that boy band that died recently. Not the Jonas Brothers, the other one, One Direction.
oh, word.
He was drunk and he like fell off his balcony.
Oh,
but like
hell no.
no. But like there was a video.
Like same type of shit that just happened.
No. But there was a video of the other end when he fell off. So like
Oh.
somebody was recording him drunk and he just like
Mm.
and like yeah.
Well,
So
that's crazy.
but that's what I'm saying. Like so, there's no way anyone believes it unless they see before he falls. Like
Right.
whoever it is. So
Yeah,
nowadays, like you see the billionaire Russian guys who die that commit suicide. I'm like, okay, like there's a reason why these people are committing suicide, and it's just because they want to be silenced. Like I think I was listening to a Sean Ryan podcast. I think it was his, and he was talking about Epstein, I think, and some guy was saying like he thinks that Epstein was given a choice, either we'll kill you or you can kill
Mhm.
yourself. So I think a lot of these people that happens.
I think Epstein definitely went away
Yeah.
and like pretended to kill himself. But like a lot of people definitely do get like for real just silenced. Like
Yeah.
that. What was that dude, Isaac Cappy or whatever? Do you ever see that?
No.
I don't know enough about this to be talking about it, or any of this stuff. But he was a dude that I want to say, Seth Green.
Yeah.
So Seth Green is also like kind of a weirdo,
Yeah.
potentially. I'm not gonna say confirm,
Yeah.
but like there's some weird stuff out there.
Yeah.
So he I'm not gonna go into like all like why Seth Green is such a weirdo,
Yeah.
but supposedly there's a bunch of stuff about how like he might be creepy. And then this is like his friend, co-writer sort of guy that he was sort of I don't know, somewhat friends with, Isaac Cappy, and he started sort of just exposing Seth Green and then a bunch of other people and like a major list of Hollywood elites essentially.
Yeah.
And then I forget what happened to him. I want to say he like jumped off a bridge or something, or like an interstate or whatever, like super Hillary style. But
I love how they say like, oh, he jumped. It's like, did you see him?
right.
Did somebody see him
Oh,
jump?
he jumped.
How do you know he jumped? Like that's I always
Yeah, jump is a crazy word. Like not fell, not like jump.
Yeah, like when people say that, it's like, how do you know that any like, oh, he committed suicide? How do you know that? Were you there? Well, there was a note.
But that
Did you
just
watch
that
him
just
write
shows
it?
you how much of like police work is just
It's
all,
Hollywood. It's
well,
all
it's all
Hollywood.
like, oh, it's probable, whatever. So we're like, and then it just ends up as that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was a natural fire. How do you know? It was arson. How do you know? Were you there? Well, we think based on this evidence, it's like,
What evidence? Oh, you mean that you can start getting a paper trail going and then call evidence by the time that you're done with it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. When it's a fire and they're like 10 hours after the fire, yeah, we found the source. It's like, how? How do you even know where to start looking for the source? Like,
I don't know. I mean, that's out of my depth. Somebody
just saying.
probably could.
I'm
but,
just saying, like, there's a lot of stuff that I'm just like, man, that seems like a little fishy.
But like average cops, like definitely. And then, I mean, even just government on all levels.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're gonna try to get the quotas met. You're gonna get the job done, the day over. Something's got to end up as something. So,
yeah, true.
yeah.
So something else I wanted to talk about on a totally unrelated topic
Okay.
is regarding food
Mm-hmm.
that we consume, right? So this thought came to me when I was at Chipotle one day, and
Alright.
I normally like don't speak out in public or speak up just because I'm like, I don't waste my time. I don't want everyone takes out
like
their
when they mess up your food or something?
yeah, but like everyone takes out their cameras and stuff, and I just don't want to have a conversation in public and then someone take out their camera and then like my life gets plastered just based off that one clip. But I don't know if it was somebody new, but like based on how they were handling and preparing my burrito at Chipotle, they weren't new. And I think I paid like Chipotle is already expensive enough.
Yeah.
Like I think
I'm sure it's
guac
gotten
is
more expensive
basically
too.
like $3, which is dumb because avocado is less than $3, like
Yeah.
just at the store.
It's a good point.
But I was getting my burrito wrapped and like she was making everything. And at the very end, she put half a scoop of guac. So I was paying $3 for half a scoop of guac. So I was pretty pissed. And the steak, she barely put any on there. Like, so I was already like super mad. So I was like, "Do you guys have a manager here?" And they're like, "No, but his card's right here." So like they gave me his business card, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna call this guy." Didn't end up calling him just because I was like,
Over half a scoop looks crazy.
Yeah. But I was like, you know what? Food companies, industries need to instill higher customer satisfaction based off of portion sizing and like in front of the customer showing them like this is what you're getting. So like some super nice like steak restaurants will like bring the steak out to you and be like, here you go. Or they'll bring you the bottle of wine. Here you go. Because it shows you that there's that trust built in. Like you as an adult are picking it out. When you go buy a car, you're the one who gets in and test drives it. You're the one who says, yes, I'm going to write on the dotted line. But if it's like McDonald's or some other place where it's like you're trusting the process and then you get the food and then you're like, well, I can't change this. Like, because if I go up, like,
I mean, I think at that point it's just like you gotta like fully complain, or you gotta. But it sucks because they're like holding the food as ransom. Like, are you gonna eat this or are you gonna complain about it?
Yeah.
You know.
So for me, I was like, the first thing you can do, like Chipotle is a very easy way because they do everything in front of you.
Yeah.
But they can literally get think of it as like a cup, like a serving size that says like every single time, this is going to be the exact amount of rice.
They should do that.
Or this is the beans, or this is the meat, or whatever it is. And then that way everyone knows they're getting consistency. Because there's sometimes where you go in, you're like, I'm not paying $14 for that. But like there's also a line. So I'm not going to keep all 20 people waiting for me because I'm not that type of person. But it's like they need to instill that because the customer satisfaction will drive people to come there because they know about the consistency. So then it made me think, what if Chipotle was like that, but instead of them serving, you're serving yourself. So not like a buffet necessarily, but like you're the one who's like scooping everything, and then at the end you're getting charged per like weight.
There's somebody high up at Chipotle that loves this idea because you're like now you're doing the work. They don't have to pay employees as much.
True. But like I'm saying, like if you have that and you have to charge based off of weight, just like you do at the grocery store,
it's just straight weight for the burrito.
Yeah, just straight weight. And if you do that for like, because Coke's different, right? Because you just fill up the Coke like container and be like, hey, you're paying for that full container regardless.
Yeah.
Which is a metric of portion sizing. So it's like if you did that and you portion size everything, you could also help people lose weight. If they wanted to gain weight, you could help them gain weight. Like, because they could, like, imagine I don't like leftovers, right? Like, let's say I don't like eating leftovers, and let's say I have a super small stomach. So a burrito at Chipotle, I'm only going to finish, I'm not talking about me. I'm just hypothetically saying that, like, oh, I'm only going to finish half of that burrito. But if I portion sized it myself, or if they made like a bunch of variety of like portions and stuff, then more customers would be like, oh, I want that. Like, I'm going to get that.
I think, yeah. So that's like just all part of modernizing, and like we should be there at that point where you can get exactly what you want because we have the technology to know how to do it. It's just people being stubborn and going, this is how we do it. And that way is outdated. And I think now you're starting to see like, you know, physical restaurants and like physical stores are not getting as much money as online stores and like pop-up restaurants and like all sorts of different things. And it's all started to be catered more towards the actual consumer. And I don't know, everything's going to start to go that way. But Chipotle is like too big to fail, so they're not going to change their model, right?
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to come up, do the things that Chipotle is supposed to do, and then like Chipotle and all these things are going to fall off. I think we'll have we're going to have like the same type of stuff, like the same type of food that we've been eating for forever, but we're just going to have a whole bunch of new companies and brands, and some of them will be brands that we know now, just rebranding, but their whole business model, customer service, everything, technology, it's all going to be elevated. Yeah. Like what McDonald's is doing that. Oh, what's it called? It's like
The food item.
no, it's like they have a drink thing that they're competing with Starbucks now.
Oh,
It's
a rewards program.
no, it's a whole different restaurant that McDonald's
Oh.
has. It Mick is in the name, but it's not the first part. It's like
McCoffee.
no, it's like something mix, Cosmix.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
It's like a Starbucks
Oh, I didn't know
thing.
that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And then I think I heard like Walmart is coming out with one too.
That makes sense. They have freaking drones. They're doing everything.
Yeah.
But like on the food subject, so that thought led me to think about like you had brought it up briefly, but like Kroger, Ralph's, all these like different like HEB. What if, in order to also help customers and customer satisfaction and get people back in stores, when you walk in, you grab your cart. What if you were able to walk in and there's like a recipe list? If you're like, you know what, like I want to try something new, and then they say,
AI.
oh, this is like how you make this lasagna or something like that. But then someone's like, well, I don't know how to make that, right? Like there's YouTube videos, but like if you're in the store and they say, hey, here's the ingredients you need, and you walk around and you're like, oh, cool, like I can go look for this recipe and not have to look it up or whatever.
I mean, literally, that would be great. But if Walmart just cataloged everything that they have and like the characteristics of it and whatever on a super good level,
Yeah.
and then when you walk in, you have some sort of AI thing that you can just kind of connect to their database of everything they have, and then just go, maybe they would have recommendations of certain things, but also you could just say whatever you want and then pull up a recipe with that. Here's everything in the store that you need for that.
Yeah.
Here's a couple options.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
But I think we're moving into that space, but it's just gonna be, I don't know. It's a little bit of a drag getting rid of this like old, outdated stuff,
Yeah, I agree.
but it's just growing pains.
Yeah, but anyway, I thought it was interesting, like the thought of like helping people, because eating is such a big like industry. Obviously, everyone needs to eat.
Yeah.
But it's like if they focused more on the customer instead of just their margins and making money, I feel like just that portion sizing would drive so many people there just to eat. If they said, hey,
Well, people would be saving money too,
Yeah,
by getting the portion that
Yeah.
they are only gonna eat.
because they're like, oh, cool. I know, like, that's why people love Chick-fil-A, is because it's consistent. You get the same person that says, like, oh, thank you. And they're like, my pleasure. People like consistency.
And there's less food waste.
Yeah. So if you go to these places and these places are saying, hey, we care about you because customer satisfaction is the same each time, like you only wait this amount of time, like in line at Chipotle or McDonald's or whatever, you're only going to, like, we guarantee you're only going to wait this amount of time. We guarantee it's going to be the exact same every time. That's why people like In-N-Out or McDonald's or the burgers, because they're like, oh, I like it. But if it changes every time, you don't like it because you don't know what you're going to get. So it's like if your consistency is high, more people are going to be drawn to you. And I think you just blow the space out of the water.
You know what the secret to it is, and why we can't have it that way?
Addictive chemicals.
No, it's that we haven't replaced all the humans with robots yet. When there's robots, of course we can do that.
Don't they have a McDonald's?
Robots can do all that shit.
I'm pretty sure they have like a McDonald's that has robots.
Oh, there's for sure. I want to say in New York at least.
Yeah.
Maybe in Chicago. I don't know. There's definitely some cities that have like fully automated. Maybe even here. I want to say.
I've never seen one.
Yeah,
but it
I
makes
damn near
sense.
want to say. I swear to God, there's I want to say in Chicago there's a fully automated McDonald's for sure, which is crazy. And it's just like also first of all, I think people might have needed those jobs. That's a crazy one to replace, but yeah, big cities they're always trying to do stuff like that Amazon store. I don't know what that's about. Not really a fan, but Amazon is its own little titan. I always forget about it, but then I'm like, dang, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated. Do you see the so the Switch 2 is coming out by Nintendo?
I thought they already had a Switch too.
Mm-mm.
Because they had the Switch, then they had the OLED.
Well, they had a couple different versions of just the regular Switch, like the Switch 1.
So it's going to be like a Steam Deck or something?
Sort of. Honestly, it just looks like better build quality. I think it really just depends on like, okay, is it going to be like, I think they're just outdated. You know what I mean? The games get better. If you have a Switch, they're all probably from, I don't know how long ago that came out, but probably like My timetable's all over the place, but like at least 5 years ago, probably longer than that though.
I think the Switch came out in 2019.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which is a while ago.
Yeah.
I still have one. It's like a mini.
I used to have one and I got rid of it. It was cool.
I think it was great. Like when it came out, like it was the wrong time in my opinion to come out because they really promoted the like you could use a small controller and have a bunch of people playing on it, but it was during COVID, so you couldn't really like get everybody around. But I mean, me and my buddy used to play Mario Kart on it.
Yeah.
And like it was great because it's basically the Nintendo 64 or the GameCube, but it's just
No, it was fun though, because like somebody like you wouldn't just have a Switch, but somebody else would have a Switch and they would bring it around and you could play. That was cool.
Yeah.
And then you'd go, oh, I need to get a Switch.
yeah.
It was contagious for a minute. Like when they first came out, I don't really think because the Steam Deck wasn't out.
No, I don't think it was. The Wii U was out, I think.
Nobody cared about that.
Yeah. But I think that was like the first thing
Yeah.
that was there.
Yeah, but so that's something to switch to, but also the PSP 2.
I've seen that,
So that's
which is yeah.
well, no, because
Well, it's not
you're
a-
probably thinking there's
Oh.
been a couple things. There's been a couple things. There was the original PSP way back in the day,
yeah.
and then there was the PS Vita, and then there was
What's the most recent one besides the PS2?
then there was
PSP2?
the PS Portal for the PS5, and then there was the PS
That's what I'm thinking
P
of.
Go, and there was a couple of those, right?
Because the PS5 one's dumb because you have
Yeah.
to have it on and in the same room.
You're just streaming the game from your
Yeah,
PS5.
it's- yeah,
you could
that's
do that
so
on
dumb.
literally
Yeah.
anything else.
yeah, literally.
But
That's what a phone is for. Like
a proper PSP 2 would be great because if it's like a handheld PS5 is what it should be.
yeah,
That's great because for someone like me, I don't know. Well, I probably wouldn't get it because I have a Steam Deck. But
Yeah.
like, if I didn't have a Steam Deck, I would get that just to have all the PlayStation games right here, whatever. And it's like, most people are PC gaming nowadays, so it's
Yeah.
like you really would only want that to have like I don't know to have the exclusives or to just have something portable.
yeah.
So, because I think most people probably, I don't know what most people do, but like all these people that get PS5s, I feel like they probably get it and play like Call of Duty or like one main title, and then they're gonna play whatever came with their console, and then probably buy like 2 other exclusives or something, and that's about it. You know?
I think the biggest pull is going to be kind of like the GTA 6 idea that we were talking about is finding some game that's like, okay, I'm going to spend 9 years playing this game.
Which is a crazy thought.
Because Call of Duty, it changes every year. All
Yeah.
these games, 2K, Madden, they
Yeah.
all change every year. But if you have that one game that everyone can play, like on the PSP2 or something like that, like if it's the game that
Well,
you
and
can
especially if it was not only
cross-compatible.
exclusive to PlayStation,
yeah,
but specific to the PSP,
yeah,
then you couldn't even get it on the PS5. Because I remember like back in the day when like the PlayStation 3 was out,
Yeah.
there were games that would come out on PSP only.
yeah,
And it's like you're gonna have to get a PSP. It's like if you made that viral exclusivity portable game that's like fun for people and like you know what I'm trying to say, like a modern social game.
Yeah.
To an extent.
It's like Sims, but it's like if you found a game that was generally that addictive,
Mhm.
then you'd like, yeah, you'd make
That
so
would be
much money.
crazy though if GTA 6 came out on PSP too.
Only
That'd be
Dude,
wild.
people would be back engineering that to like link to their like they'd be running it
Oh, for sure.
with wires through their PC. Like nobody would be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play on a PSP.
But it would also feel like you're back in like 2007 or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like it'd be crazy. I'd love to see it.
Internet's come like so far away. Like,
It has. I'm actually really curious to see. I think GTA 6 might flop. Like and there's no way it just fully flops, but
well, the hype is there. They could make it not. Like if you could actually have some sort of currency, like if they incorporated a cryptocurrency in the game that you can pull out in real life, everybody would play that game.
I just don't know if there's a way that they could do that. Like it's gonna get because first of all, this is Rockstar handling this. It's gonna get real Wolf of Wall Street real quick.
Sure. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about like 4 years after the game's been developed, and you have a bunch of mods and people coming in and doing the game, like if that game becomes its own entity outside of Rockstar, then you could easily see something like that happening where you're like, wow, like
virtual streets are real. For
Yeah,
real.
like-
Because you got to think you're gonna have that type of stuff with the crypto, but you're
Yeah.
also gonna have scammers out here and like hackers being scammers
Yeah.
and utilizing whatever they're gonna use. But yeah,
so talk about like CIA, like
Ooh.
operation. Like think about this. Imagine if you're in that game, you obviously get to come back alive if you die. If your character dies, you
Yeah.
respawn. But imagine there's a real money source in that you can pull out, right? Do you think everyone's just going to pull money out of the game? No, because money equals power in that game.
Right.
So then people who are respawning, their whole goal, I mean, obviously you have to deal with the whole bot situation, but like people that are playing the game, it's almost like if I'm able to rob this person in the game,
Mhm.
I win the lottery because then I
Right.
can just pull the money out.
Right. Essentially.
Yeah.
And so you're doing virtual crime, not real crime, and it's legal. It's like if you can get, it's just like being in the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Like everything that happens in here is okay.
Yeah.
Or the Purge or something, right? But literally, if that's what was going on, but the cheats, people already pay for cheats, and it's
Yeah.
already a crazy out of hand thing. But if that was the case, everybody would be trying to pay for a cheat. You
Okay.
know?
So I just had a massive idea. Okay, imagine that, right? But it's like sandbox. So like the
Okay.
game changes every day.
Mhm,
And
I like that.
imagine if like it is some sort of crypto, right? But the crypto is like all held offshore, so nobody has it. But like it's equivalent to $1. Let's just say it's equivalent to $1, like some sort of stable coin.
like
right?
1-to-1.
Yeah, stable coin. So imagine if the game changes and they say, okay, we're dropping $1 million worth of this cryptocurrency into this world. And then in 24 hours, you all can take out whatever you want. Like whoever has the most can, like, you get that in real life. Like imagine the strategy that you would have to have. People be teaming up.
Oh, it'd be crazy.
People, like, there's vehicles, cars. It's like King of the Hill, basically. It's like if you kill, it's like Slither.io, wherever you like kill the snakes or whatever. Like you're like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I've seen it, but I haven't
Okay.
played it.
But like King of the Hill is basically like if you kill the top person, you get all the stuff that they get, right? Because they were
Right.
king, and then you get all
Right.
their stuff. So imagine if that's what it was. Like you kill the King of the Hill, now you get all their money, but then it's just like who gets to like have it until the game's over. I feel like that'd be super cool.
There's a lot of different versions of it that you could have.
Oh, yeah.
I like that one where everybody just basically instantly respawns, and it's like, no, you just got to hold on to it and be the last
Yeah.
person holding it. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Because each person has $1. And then it's like if you kill somebody, then you get their $1, but then someone kills you.
But also, what if there was a version where it's like, okay, you don't respawn? It's like you're not gonna die in real life,
Well, yeah,
but like
but that-
you get one. It's like search and destroy, like but without rounds.
Yeah,
It's
but you get like one life per day, and then
Right.
after, 100%, because it'd be great because then people would be camping, but then then it's a sort of gambling.
So all right, so you actually all right. So I didn't want to talk about this, but I guess I'll talk about it because I scheme about some things. I have some ideas, and especially with games, because games are messed up and they don't.
Yeah.
They're far from being what they should be. And so I've thought about this, like competitive games need some work, and money when it comes to games needs some work. You need to be able to monetize your game directly to where, just like you're saying,
Yeah.
I've had this idea, not to say that I had the idea
you're
first,
good.
but to implement that into a game. So I always thought of it like a first person shooter or something.
Okay.
Ideally, sort of a tactical one, just because that's the type that I like. But if you had a competitive first person shooter, and essentially you really only get that one life.
Yeah.
And it's a tournament style thing where you would have to basically sign up, maybe have a pre-established team that you would sign up with,
Yeah.
and you all enter in, and maybe you have to pay whatever the entry fee is for this season.
Okay.
And you just signed up with your team for the season. It's like, yeah, you're gonna have to fucking show up or whatever.
Yeah.
If other people die on your team, it's all on you. You can carry it to the end or whatever.
Okay.
And it's like they're gonna get like probably a consolation early type of thing. They're not gonna get the full thing. Like whoever gets to the end will get whatever they're getting.
Oh, okay.
But my thing is, and then cheaters is the other big problem, right?
Yeah.
And so basically all three of these things can balance each other out. If you had everybody going for this big pot that we all put in because we all paid to get in for the season to
Oh, so it's
play.
like crowdsourcing, like DraftKings, basically.
Right.
It's like,
And so
oh,
then the company
yeah.
gets a little bit of that money,
Yep.
but the rest of it goes in this pot.
Yep.
Then everybody's focused on this. There's a real competitive nature to it.
Yep.
And there's more of a discrimination against cheating and that sort of activity. But also because you die and you only get that one life, most of these people very quickly end up spectating it, but they're glued to this thing. It's very addictive. It becomes a live streaming sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's money to be made in that aspect of it as well. But now that you have all these people live streaming the people that are playing, how much harder is it to cheat when you're being spectated on such a live level, right?
And
So
because
you
at
have-
that point, theft, that's if you like got caught botting or cheating,
Right.
then you can get arrested in real life. So something else
Absolutely.
on that I would add is like, okay, let's say that the gear, that it's like the only way you can upgrade gear in the game is if you pay in real life. Like real life money you pay. So that way your account, right? Your account builds up all, like if you played Clash of Clans, right? And you have to spend a bunch of money to upgrade faster or something like that. Let's say you can buy all these new upgraded weapons and all this armor and stuff. And let's say you've put $5,000 into the game. If you cheat, account's banned forever. You lost your
Right.
$5,000. So like I feel like that would help with the cheaters, so that way they can't just bot and create new accounts. So it's like, oh, if you want to be good, you have to pay for the gear and like the guns and stuff.
Well, okay, that's fine. But one of the aspects of it as well was that basically, if you made it to whatever it was, like you don't have to consistently win all the time to whatever.
Yeah.
If you really like, think about all the attention that would be. Think about all the people that play Fortnite right now. If all of them were paying $5 all in there to throw in that, how much money would come out of that realistically? If one person actually won that,
yeah.
they probably don't really have to do much for a long time.
Yeah.
And so
Skill based.
you don't actually have to be number one to like, if it's not like we're just going to give that whole, there'll be a big chunk for the winner, but there'll be a smaller chunk that gets broken up to other, consolations or however we want to do that. But even if you don't go all the way, you can still make large chunks of money off of this and be a professional, and it gives an opportunity and a real like incentive for people to take this serious as like a career and a whatever,
Yeah. I feel like you could easily control, because there's so many ways that people would try to find, because if you're, let's say everyone's playing for 25 cents, right? And it's, let's say there's 500 accounts in the lobby and they're all playing and whoever wins gets like $250 or whatever it would be. So like, imagine that happens, but you have other people who are really skilled playing against all these people who are unskilled and they're only paying a certain amount. That person can play every single day and just make $250 every single day. And it's like, that's not fair. So like skill-based matchmaking, they'd have to figure out a way to fully control that. So
well,
that
I think it's sort of like, okay, so
or would you want it like free for all, like who cares?
look at it like this. It's a whole season. Let's say a season is literal. Let's just say it's a month. All right. It's a month long. And basically, it's not like it's going to be the entire month 24/7 it's going. But so your month can maybe consists of every single day you have, let's just say you have one match a day for these 30 days. And so you go into your match, let's say everybody else dies, you're the last man standing. You made it to there, but it's like, that was day one of the whole season. So now you can probably choose to cash in on whatever you got for that day one or choose to go to day two. And it's this thing. So you can make it to the top and get your actual cash out, or you can take there's a gamble and a risk. And I don't know.
I feel like but like at some point, does it become gambling? Like that would be the thing.
That was the thing that I ran into. And basically, I found that no, it's not gambling because
I don't think it would be.
It's a skill-based thing, and it's not odds. It's saying, here's my fee to do whatever, and if I win, it's just a competition.
Yeah,
it's a sports competition.
They would have to have some like what's the word I'm looking for, where there's like a trust between you and the game developer who has control over all the money, that if somebody does cheat, then everybody gets their money back at the point that they started at. So like, let's say that you got $100 a day, like you got $100 the first day and you took that $100 in the next day, and you've done that for 5 days and you're at $500, but somebody cheats in that lobby and you die and you lose all that, like that company has to be able to reissue you your
Yeah.
$500 so that way that, or else no one's going to play. Because like, why would
Right.
you want to play if you're just getting scammed every single day? Like imagine going 19 days and you're like, oh my gosh, I have all this money, I'm so good. Then somebody come and bots you and just like takes all your money. Like they'd have to have some way to.
I think the biggest thing is like there's always going to be some way to just see into the future and some exploit that nobody's doing yet, you know, and,
Yeah.
and just come up with something creative. But basically, if all the attention is on there and we know all the methods and we know, like, maybe if we don't know exactly which version of the method they're running, like we know what it's supposed to do, what it looks like, you
Yeah.
know, what to look for. And when you have all this monitoring, I feel like it's almost impossible. Like maybe something could slip through
Yeah.
for a second, but ultimately with that many eyes on everything, that many reviews, that many, and it's like everybody also can, you know, submit and flag these spectators, like they're
Oh, yeah.
contributing to the consensus of things.
Yeah.
Not maybe the ultimate consensus, but at least
So you basically don't get. It's almost like the money's held in escrow, and then they have to
until it's reviewed.
until it's reviewed. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing, and that would be.
And it would
dude,
probably be play by play the entire
100%.
game all the way through, people on payroll to review those
and then
things.
at some certain like pay grade, let's say someone's playing $1,000, like each person's putting in $1,000. Now everybody wants to watch that big money pot, but then you have like announcers and like
Mhm.
people like talking and commentating over the game, like that's live. That's just a bunch of random people, but they're like, that'd be cool. Like I feel like people would get into that quickly.
Well, I think so too, because it's sort of like it combines a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like it you can almost integrate Twitch entirely into the game now.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it's like,
What if that's Elon's idea the whole time?
was it?
Imagine if it is.
I hope so.
That'd be sick.
This is actually something I want to talk about too. I would be 100% happy if like I would get rid of even YouTube, but YouTube, Facebook, all the current social media, we could wipe it all out and just replace it with, if Elon rolled out a proper version of what all those are supposed to be,
Yeah.
without all the stupid restrictions on them,
Yeah.
have them be, and X, I don't think is in a great state right now either, but
Yeah.
if we could iron these things out and just have I like the ideas he's presenting, and I feel like he's just focusing on other things and kind of just letting X be what it is right now. But once the live stream element gets brought into it, that'll be where I really see, you know, whether it's going to actually be something or not, I guess.
Yeah.
But I believe in it. If he implemented live streaming 100% and
Because he's
had it
testing
monetized.
it. He's testing the live streaming right now.
Yeah, and it's okay. Right now, I think you have to be like verified to
Oh, that would make sense.
to actually stream.
Yeah,
But
dude, that I mean, your idea would be great
for
Like
the
that-
game,
That's interesting too.
Yeah.
because they could implement that with every game. Technically, like every developer could easily do that. But if you found that like
right?
one game that was just, you know, if it's like a racing game, like just Mario Kart on steroids,
Mhm.
everybody be playing that game.
Well, you're absolutely right. You could do it with every single game, and it almost could be its own ecosystem of, like, you know how like Fortnite started as a game, but now there's a bunch of little games in
Yeah.
Fortnite that people just make, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like it can sort of be like that, and with the way that mods go and all that, we can really embrace certain things. But my idea is truly it's just its own game,
Yeah.
and it's definitely a shooter, because my idea is about like a shooter too. Is like there's good games out there. They do a good job of certain things, but it's just like nothing is really quite like Tarkov is close, and a lot of things sort of like the ones that try to get real realistic, they do a good job on certain things. But like my idea for a game also is the ballistics. We need to get super realistic with the materials, the densities,
Yeah.
the grain weight, you know, like all of the actual velocities. We need to, and not just from numbers that you're making up from a video game
Yeah.
team that knows nothing
Mhm.
about real ballistics.
Yeah, everything just
from-
shoots in a straight line.
Right. It's insane. But if we had like proper everything in there, we just need the data. It would all work. Like you can make it everything feel much better, you know?
Yeah.
And proper.
Definitely. Something else. I mean, speaking of gambling on that topic,
Yeah.
you could have people that are like, you could be like, oh, I just want to spectate. I don't even want to play. I just want to spectate.
Yeah.
And then you can bet on the live game that's like happening.
Absolutely.
Dude, I feel like that's big brain idea.
It is, but it's like, and I didn't want to talk it on here because it's like somebody will probably steal that and try to do that. But you know what? Go for it. Like, it's okay because that would just be such a boon in the first place.
Yeah.
And also, I don't think anybody else can quite do what I have envisioned. But it's just like, from a gamer perspective, games suck.
Yeah.
Like they all suck now.
Because they're individualized.
Well, they're individualized, but it's also like what, from a competitive standpoint, if you ask most people, like people are like, oh, Valorant or CSGO is probably the most competitive game realistically. It's like, that's an old game, man. That's a super old game. It's not doing anything. And it's like the level of competitivism is like 15 years old.
Yeah.
It's not where we're at now. Because the level that we compete on now, I feel like is super, like we're in each other's heads. We're reading each other. We're doing whatever.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was more like physical skill and like, I don't know. You know how old school stuff was. It's like, this spot, this lineup, this, whatever. It's going to be like that. It's a lot of muscle memory stuff. Now it's like, because the internet and this feedback loop of stuff, it's like, oh, this is what's going on right now. I know that they're tuned into that and they've been thinking about, it's like super meta in our heads, the way that we play games. And so like if the gameplay could just adapt and give us more utility to utilize that stuff, like games could be cool.
Definitely. That'd be interesting too. I mean, kind of just sticking on that topic of the video game, like you could incorporate, like I'm actually surprised they haven't made a Hunger Games game.
Oh, it'd be sick.
Like you just have 12 people in a lobby and they all start off and the game is just like 3 hours long and you're just grinding out just to be the last one. But if everyone puts in $10,
yeah,
you could make money and you literally could live off that. But then it becomes super like, okay, we got to team up. We got to talk to people, backstabbing. Like,
so hear me out. Just an idea. Potential for the future. We could make like a Minecraft server or something, do a little Hunger Games in there, put some money on it, do whatever, set up a little, it's like a trial version of this game idea.
Yeah. But it had to be a third party money wise because gambling's very like restricted because everything is
I know Texas is also specific about.
Well, like we're trying to change that. But they're trying, I mean, skill based is legal here. Like so you could skill base it, which technically that would be a skill basing.
Right.
But I mean 100% you could do something like that where it's like these people get to show off their skill and do that. Like, I mean, I'm surprised they don't have as many like Red Robin tournaments for everything. Cause I mean, you look in the professional esports, they have everyone shows up and they kind of have bought their ticket to play and they get into the event and there's a cash prize waiting for first place.
Right.
But if you just did it to where it's like, hey, you're playing in a tournament and everyone puts in money, I feel like that's where the future is.
It's like, okay, so I would put it this way. And it's careful about how you word things. It's all legal jargon to determine whether it's competition or gambling at the end of the day. In our case. But if you paid just a sign-up fee and then there's a grand prize, and somehow technically the grand prize happens to be related to the number of sign-up fees correlated to the number of people, does that even matter?
No, that wouldn't be gambling.
Right.
The idea, though, of gambling is if you can repeatedly do something. So if it's like Fortnite, where you could go redrop into a game and then redrop in another game, it's almost like some form of slots.
No, this is a scheduled one-time tournament.
No, but I'm just saying, like,
but at a certain point,
people could try to find their way over there. But it also cracks me up because, like, you've heard stories of these 10-year-olds getting their parents' credit card and buying like $10,000 worth of V-Bucks. Like,
but imagine if you imagine if your kid stole your credit card and you were like, oh, they probably just spent a bunch of whatever, not knowing the value of money, and then actually turns around. They just gambled it into like a bunch of money and you got a payday.
Yeah, it's true.
Because nowadays, I mean, computer gaming was not a thing when I was a kid. It was like you must have been a nerd to do that or whatever. Yeah. Now everybody has gaming PCs and it's a normal thing. And I don't know, times are changing.
That would hook everybody to their screen. Like because you think about now,
they already are.
You don't have. If that's the case, then the amount of people talk about job creation.
Right, dude. That's what I was just about to say. I'm trying to get people paid here.
The amount of people that
and entertained
do that for their full-time job. Anyone could just... Okay, think about Call of Duty. that's an easy one for me because it's like you have to be super skilled to be good at that game, and the only way to be skilled is if you just play for hours and hours. So imagine if you're like, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to go work at Starbucks or McDonald's? Actually, I'm just gonna get really good at this game and then just put money in and just try to win money.
Well, also, if you're the type of person that knows that you can be good at that game, like I mean, some people are just fooling themselves.
Yeah.
Like it'll be fun, but you'll find out quickly if you actually try to compete that you're good or not, or if you can hang, or if you have the wherewithal to learn, right? But some people are actually really good and have potential, and they're just regular people. They might be a dishwasher, but they could be like immortal in Valorant or whatever, crazy thing, whatever achievement in whatever game they're trying to beat, right? But if those people had a legitimate opportunity to, one, gain a following as well, but money and a real path, and you touched on Hunger Games, that gave me an idea of like, okay, then I guess you could get sponsors for being in our thing too, and like that's a whole thing to maybe implement. But like, it's a real foundation that you could create for yourself out of nothing. And I know like a lot of people now are like, they're trying to do that by going, I'm really good at this game, let me stream. And they're trying to juggle these two things, but it's like, what if it was all just like, just do the thing? And it's like, it's all sort of goes into, and also the interesting thing is like, this whole model so far has been us spectating just the character. Like the player is not on screen, not on mic, nothing, no personality. It's anonymous at that point.
Yeah.
And so I guess there's the potential that you could, make it non-anonymous for yourself and be a star or whatever. But the anonymous thing is also a really good opportunity for certain people that feel like they're really good at the game, but all the other stuff, the entertainment aspect of it, bogs them down or distracts them, or other people get favored in that aspect,
Yeah, I mean, I watch kind of in that same aspect. I watch professional Call of Duty. Like I've watched it for a long time now, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that really bugs me is you don't get to hear them talk in the game because, strategies and stuff. But it's like, if you can talk and the other team can talk, then there's no point of strategies, and it's just whoever's the best.
Right.
Because like all strategies go out the window, because even if you can hear mine, not necessarily like live, you can hear them, but like if you rewatch it, you can hear their strategies. But like if you can hear mine and I can hear yours, then there's no point of strategy. And so that way you actually get to see who's the best, but then personalities.
But they can still talk to each other, but you just can't hear it though.
Yeah. No, I'm saying like the opposing team can't hear you live. But like it would give the people watching more of like, like I can relate. Like imagine professional football and they're all wearing microphones.
Yeah.
And you can all hear what they're saying, right? Like, okay, this is going to another subject that
No, keep going. I'm liking it.
No. It's the same subject. But like imagine if professional football, it's just easier to do professional football because everyone watches it. Every single player has some sort of device on them, tiny device, and let's say you watch, and let's just say there's 1,000 cameras around the circumference of the entire stadium, right? And you're like, I am a fantasy bettor, and I only want to watch that player. And so you literally just get a straight camera feed of just that player. So whenever they're running a route, you're like, are they going to get the ball or whatever?
Right.
But then if you put a microphone on them, then you can hear what they're talking about, and it builds their character. So if they say something funny, or if they say something that's like awkward, it like helps them build their brand and helps the entertainment value grow instead of them just like being silent. Cause like,
and so that one drone is glued to them, following them around as well, getting their perspective the whole game. And so,
and it's not like a super close up. It's like it still shows the full play.
Yeah, but it's following them.
But it's following them, and then that way. But then you can also, how it's hard to see. Sometimes it's like, well, who is that? Like that person looks like the exact same haircut, the exact same height, exact same tattoos. So it like you're like, is that my guy or is this the guy I'm watching? Right. So it's like, imagine if there's a green orb like around them as they're running. You're like, oh, now I can just see my guy running. Like. I've always thought that'd be because I'm already like people play or they pay for NFL Red Zone, which shows you like all the scoring drives and it's commercial free and stuff for football. But imagine it was the same thing, but like
It's
you could just watch
but
your own players.
literally, yeah. You can watch the the replay of the entire game, even forever, basically,
Yeah.
from every single perspective if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And that is pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Because the other thing in regards to that is, okay, if I'm playing DraftKings and I pick 8 players on my roster that I want, I don't know if you've ever played DraftKings.
Mm-mm.
So you basically get a certain budget and you're able to play. It says pick 8 players and they all have a fake salary, and you get a certain amount of money, and you only can spend up to this amount of money.
Right.
It prevents everybody from just picking all the best players, because then
Right.
there's not going to be any money made. So it involves strategy, right? But imagine if I could pick my 8 players, and then that syncs with NFL Red Zone, and then
You're
I
onto
have
something there.
all of my players on the screen, so that way I don't have to go check my phone. Everything's just in front of me live, and like, okay, and it could be not like playback, but like it could be delayed 50 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And it just shows like you're watching a game, but then if your player caught a ball, it automatically shows you like them like catching the ball in that, or they just threw a touchdown or whatever, but
Right.
it immediately goes to everybody, because at the end of the day, that's all people care about. Like, I've been doing this for like 3 or 4 years. Like, I don't care about watching a game or highlights or in the moment action if I don't have money on that player, even if it's 25 cents, which is normally what I bet, because I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just more fun. It's more like, oh, I have skin in the game, even if it's a
Yeah.
little bit amount of money. But if I think it's a dumb game or I don't have money on it, I don't want to watch it. I just want to watch the players that I have. So if they did that, now you can build subscription fees. Like, hey, $40 a month, but
Right.
you're able to watch all this, and people would be like, oh, I'm going to do that, like 100%. Because you have all these big gamblers that do massive sports betting. Imagine if you had 400 bets that day and you're just sitting there watching the TV, and it's like, it just keeps showing how well your players are doing live, and then it's keeping updates on the side of your computer.
But
like
but
how
it's damn
well
near
they're-
like the Batman wall of like
Yeah.
screens, where it's like all these players in different games, and like
Yeah.
everything that you have, it's all right here.
yeah,
And I mean, and you could probably maybe want control over like how much of that you're watching
Sure.
at the same time, or whatever you want on the screen. But yeah, even having access to like, like how much, like maybe you don't want like all the, like hide the score and all the other stuff. Let me just see the field, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like all the other elements you could move around or do whatever you want, have customizability. And yeah, I mean, that'd be a cool thing. It'd be huge for sports. Sports betting is huge already. But when you were talking about the players having mics, I was thinking just about the game, like the video game. I like the idea of having if you had what is it, proximity chat? I love that. Proximity chat is the
Yeah.
best thing that I'm glad that we have now.
yeah,
Cause man, you just like, I don't know, it brings back the realness of some stuff. Like, and that's sort of one of those things that's like you would catch if you had the players mic'd up. Like they say stuff all the time. Sometimes people read their lips and it's great too. But the just the casual, like what you're actually gonna say, and the aggressiveness of it too. But if those like if you were like in my game model that I was talking about, where you're sort of anonymous, if you were playing that and then you don't have to say anything or whatever, but you use that feature of proximity chat, it's like, wow, that would be a special moment for this person that we don't see, at all. And it's it almost reminds me of like this futuristic world, like what was the movie Gamer with Gerard Butler? I think I talked about it before. It's like similar to Death Race.
So I'm not even lying. I was just about to bring up this. Like, I was just waiting for you
What?
to stop talking. Gamer. I was about to bring it
Really?
up. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I was like, I was literally gonna say like, this is like both these thoughts
Yeah.
coming together is ultimately that is like
Yeah.
you have people fighting to the death, and it's like everything's commented, everything's like mic'd up. Like that's where it leads to.
Well, it's really interesting because the dynamic of like having the virtual aspect of it too, to where it's like, because we could have it with just real people and just have savagery, and it's like the end times, the
Yeah.
Hunger Games for real, whatever we want to do, and just spectate it,
Yeah.
but the virtual aspect of it lets us like do that guilt free to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also the idea of like, as we combine with things, like maybe it's not so virtual. Like maybe there's a in between of virtual and not virtual, where there's a gray zone where like virtual things are kind of real,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're simulating things that aren't real to escape, maybe feeling guilty for things or doing whatever. But I think we really will quickly create a savage world where like, it's going crazy.
That's where people. That's where it leads to. I mean, you can't get enough dopamine until you watch something like that. But
You can't.
at the same time, that's like pretty deep and dark, and like at some point, people won't
It'd be fun though. I mean, of course it's gonna be fun. You know what I mean? If you could watch Death Race right now and have money on that guy, you'd be glued to it.
But yeah, I mean, that's the
Like,
interesting
even
thing.
even UFC.
Yeah.
It's like a tame version of that, right?
Yeah, I've thought about UFC. Like, I mean, eventually it gets to fighting to the death. But then my idea, or not my idea, but my thought is eventually you have to have somebody who's fighting for their freedom that's in jail.
Yeah.
And it's like, at the end of the day, I mean, I bet you 70% of the inmates, especially everyone on death row, but 70% people would just fight. And they'd be like, oh, I have a chance to fight for my freedom. Like,
But you know what's so crazy is that like nowadays, especially, I feel like, man, it's crazy. Like I know Chicago goes dumb with this, but like everywhere, kind of like serial killer, like whether they're like rappers are trying to be serial killers, and then like street dudes are trying to be serial killers, and like, but it's like nowadays we like serial killers and they're like celebrities a little bit. It's like this weird sort of thing. Like King Von definitely sort of put a lot of that up, but like it's become so trendy and popular with people that, especially in prison where like you already have killers
Yeah.
and real, it's like if you gave those people the opportunity to become a celebrity killer or criminal or whatever,
Yep.
and they're literally Hunger Gamesing it out for their own survival, that would be the most entertaining thing I could think of, honestly. It reminds me of an anime, Dead Man Wonderland, which is crazy.
I've never seen it.
It's super good.
I
It's
don't really,
brutal.
I don't really have time to get into anime.
I feel I'm not one to like go like, oh, anime and throw it out
Yeah.
there and like stand on it, because there's a lot of like whack anime, and I think most people's opinions on it are bad anyway. But like the real good stuff, if you just like good film and good story and good whatever,
Yeah.
there's good stuff in all genres. But that's a good one.
Dang, that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
So another topic I wanted to bring up, obviously we talked about the fires a little bit, but basically like the threat of like the next world war and what that would look like. I started thinking about cyber warfare
Mhm.
and what that could or how it could affect like us in our society. And the reason I thought of this was because I was at my apartment complex and the fire alarm went off at 2
Mm.
a.m. Right. And that was loud.
Yeah. Fun.
And I got pretty sleep deprived. And then the next night it happened again.
Mm.
And then I started thinking, if China got access to everyone's fire alarm, China, if they got access to every single person's fire alarm in their house, and then they just blared it 30 minutes every single day, no one's sleeping.
Yeah.
And it's like, you want to create a society, damage their sleep. Like that's all you have to do.
One.
You just fly drones through every neighborhood with sirens just blaring.
They do that to themselves, though. Have you seen like during the pandemic, there was all those drones outside, and they were like basically blaring the warning, stay inside, whatever. But it's like to an obnoxious level, and I think the drones themselves make a annoying noise, and there was hundreds of them in the streets. So, I mean, those people weren't sleeping.
Yeah, but I started thinking about that, and then I started thinking like they don't even have to do anything with, because sleep deprivation is a big thing. People just die because you need to sleep. But you literally you're either going to train people to sleep deep or you're going to have people die because they can't sleep. But then the water, all you have to do is like change the pH in the water or add too much chlorine to the water. Right? Like,
they're already doing this type of stuff to us.
but I'm just saying, like you don't have to send troops. Like you don't have to send a
No.
missile. Like all you have to do is just you have to make us go back to primitive.
I think that's the bigger threat that most people sort of fear is like, cyber attacks, but also like biological attacks and like just sort of disruptive behavioral
Yeah.
thing. And that's what most people think TikTok really is like a social
Disruption.
disruption manipulator, but also like it's rewiring the way that we think. And we might think, oh, that's bad, but that's bad by itself. But what if it's also a predisposition? Like we're being rewired to, like, we don't know what we're being rewired for yet. There might be a second part of it that's like they feed us this and we just eat it up because of whatever, And some people would say that they've already fed us whatever that is, and some people would say they might do it any day, and some people would say that's all a bunch of nonsense. But either way, I don't really care about TikTok.
No, I deleted that in I think it was towards the end of 2020. I was like, all right, I see what's happening. Like,
People love it though.
because I just found myself just like scrolling, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop. Like, this is pretty like, and the algorithm was just taking me to places I did not want to be, and I was like, you know what? Like, I just don't want to watch this anymore.
Yeah, I don't like that. You know what? That's actually what the biggest thing to me is that this algorithm, and it's like, it's changed a lot. The algorithm is not what it was when TikTok first came around, but especially when it first came around, it was more manipulative, I think.
Yeah.
It would like try to show you stuff, and as long as you think the idea is, oh, it's going to try to figure out whatever, it can sort of do its thing. And it would sort of show you something, and then it would make you think, oh, it's showing me this because of me. It's like it makes you think that you are the thing. So then it incepts you. It incepts the idea into you that you must think these things or feel like that, which is a bunch of nonsense, I think. All that hogwash there with that TikTok. Not feeling that.
It'll be good for everybody. Get outside, touch grass.
Yeah. But that Red Note thing, did you see that? It was like so just off of the threat of TikTok going away, it was like Red Note is this Chinese substitute of TikTok, basically the same exact thing, but it's completely in Mandarin.
Oh.
And so it's on, I want to say it's on the App Store right now, and I believe it's the #1 app on the App Store. It was like overnight, or at least it surpassed TikTok and like Meta for something overnight. And it's this crazy, it's like everybody's on Mandarin TikTok now, which is just crazy.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So there's nothing English in it. It's just like a Chinese website.
It's literally like, I don't know, because I haven't been there myself. It's like you never really know until you peruse and see what's going on. I'm not doing it, but from what I've seen, it's a bunch of like, you've seen brain rot on TikTok here in America. It's like Chinese brain rot, and I can't tell if it's for Chinese people brain rot or Chinese for American brain rot in Chinese.
Like Chinese for American.
I can't tell, but either way, it's great. I saw some like SpongeBob thing, some like crazy. They like dubbed SpongeBob with who knows what Mandarin, and it was just, I don't know. It looked bad. Was not a fan.
They're probably like freaking out, like they're gonna get rid of TikTok. Just put something else out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they might have already had it over there in China.
Because I know everything's banned over there. So, I mean, it just surprised me if that was actually like something that they give their citizens.
I mean, they're the worst about. They don't let like the internet is not open whatsoever. They don't have any of our social media at all.
Yeah.
Like definitely not Facebook. I don't think they have X. They definitely not, right?
I don't think they have. I don't. They might have something. Oh, they do. They do.
They use that WeChat all the time.
Is it WeChat? I thought there was something.
But they like that. They spend money with that. Or like they pay each other on there, like with Apple Pay type shit. Yeah, I don't know. I've never used WeChat, but
yeah, WeChat. That's interesting.
Yeah, it must be a whole different world over there. I know their phones are like, because they don't really use iPhones like that.
Everything's jailbroken so that you can't like get American stuff.
Well, it's like so I know Huawei is like a big phone company, and they actually make some cool stuff. But I would just never get one because it's like a super Chinese phone.
Spyware, right? Yeah, everything.
But you know what I've actually really been wanting is a phone that's like just, I have the specs in my head, like the actual software to go on it. You can figure that out. You know, just that's all computer updates. But the actual specs of what I want the phone to be, the hardware, it's like, dude, I just want somebody to make this thing for me, and nobody's making a phone like that. They're all trying to be sleek and like all this. What it's like, I want functionality, minimalism, you know, combined, and like I'm not afraid of a sharp edge on something, you know. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I don't want glass for no reason. I don't want all these like stupid aesthetic design choices, and I want a SIM card, not SIM card, like micro SD, removability, customizable storage, you know, expandability, all sorts of stuff, you know, camera adjustability, lens swappability, type of stuff like that. Like there should be a phone like that now,
Yeah.
even if it costs like 3,000, 4,000, I guess. Something.
Elon's probably working on it.
Yeah.
I know they have have you heard of the unplugged phone?
Is that the one? Oh, I heard of the nothing phone. Sort of
There
like an
might
iPhone.
No, so the unplugged phone is basically it protects your data from like Apple and all them sucking your data and selling it. So it's basically like there's like a permanent wipe like feature on it. So it's basically like a really expensive burner phone.
Yeah.
But it has like signal, it has all this stuff on it. You know, like if you turn your phone off, it technically is still sending power
Yeah,
and stuff.
which
So
is crazy.
that phone you can turn off and it actually disconnects your battery from the phone because you can't do that with these. So like it does that. It has like encrypted passwords, has all this stuff. So they basically made a phone. The guy's on Sean Ryan's podcast. He talks about it,
Gotcha.
but it's pretty cool. But like I think that's the good starting point of like having that software, and then obviously like you said, building a hardware around like what you
Well,
what you'd
and
want.
also like you were talking about like how like sort of with you know, companies need to do a better job of delivering to the consumer exactly what they want. No extras, but exactly what it is. And you'll pay extra for the extra things that you do want. Yes, give me all that. I'm gonna upgrade the camera to the best level or whatever, right?
Mhm.
But cut the fat because I don't want it because it's gonna get in the way from my perspective. But if you did that sort of thing, like for literally everything, computers, phones, all this stuff, it stops becoming even a phone or any of these things. It's like you just have a device, like a cyber deck sort of thing. It's just like a, you know, and maybe at a certain point, I guess when we get away from the phone and if it's like people are, you know, integrating that stuff into their body, you know, that's a slippery slope. But I'd rather it's
Yeah,
just a
no.
device for right now,
Yeah.
right? I'd be comfortable with a device. And I actually want like a little Jarvis AI by now. Like a it doesn't have to be fully sentient, but if it could pretend to be sentient enough to be convincing, you know, like I'd be cool with that. A little bit, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
Turn it on and off, have
you just
control.
have something like you know those Bone. It's like the new, not headphones, but like
Yeah.
it's like a thing that like it doesn't go in your ear, it just sits
Right.
on the outside. It'd be something like that.
Yeah, the
So, like a little
job
Jarvis
stuff.
like a little Jarvis thing, like talking to you, and like that'd be interesting.
But it would be so great and like helpful and handy. First of all, you know what? I think everybody's so scared right now to like use AI and all this stuff because they feel like people are gonna think I'm cheating or I'm lazy or I'm any of this stuff. I hope in 5 years everybody has like I basically have a screen here like AR. You can't see what I'm looking at, but I can have information. I'm pulling up, googling stuff all in mid conversation, but you can't tell. And I'm using AI to I'm talking to this and doing all this whatever. But we're gonna have the best conversation with the most resources, the most everything,
Interesting.
and it's like I think people will get over it and just go, hey, you know what? We can just be better. And then it's like that ego goes away and you just go, man, then you get that confidence from like just being better and more functional. And it's like, we probably would get rid of a lot of that judgment too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's the first step to becoming a robot.
Oh, 100%. Like there's kind of like what you were saying. I think there was some expo where they had like I don't know if it was Apple Vision, but they had something right over their eyes, and then you couldn't see their eyes, but then there was a screen that you could see
Yeah.
that it was like eyes that are like computerized, and it could show where you're looking. So that way you don't have to worry about eye contact or like being awkward or anything like that because you're not actually looking the person in the eyes or something like that.
It's crazy. I mean, all this stuff, it's like all the little things that we deal with. It's like soon, I guess, if you did everything virtually or at least somewhat virtually, you can kind of like get rid of all the like inconvenient human elements of everything that make us You know, like
Even.
you could set a even playing field where everybody has the most advantages of whatever, and then it's like it's all about what you do with those things rather than like I don't know, being judged on the way that you do something. It's like what did you do with it? Like that's all we care about, right? Like we're all results based instead of like right now we're super judgmental as a society of like who's a star, who has potential, who can keep it, who can like it's all but what if it was just like maybe who can keep it can stay around because that's like a result of getting shit done, but
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, if we're just like if we're not so concerned about who did something, it's just like that got done. I don't know. I feel like we could just move at a faster pace as humans.
And the people who
We
don't
have
want to
to.
move fast can go to Mars.
Yeah. I mean, good luck with that, dude. I hope that's something, right? That'd be that'd be great. You know.
Yeah.
I didn't see that Martian movie with Matt Damon, but I see clips of it sometimes, and it's
Yeah.
like,
I think that there's already another. I think it's all underwater. I think that's where Kobe is. Everyone's on
they're in Mars or underwater.
underwater.
Oh,
I think that's the next area because it's so much cheaper to get to
oh,
underwater.
I mean, underwater is the perfect place to hide for the elite. If you really,
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, if you were a supervillain, that's the obvious place.
Just
as
think
well.
about it. What if Epstein's island was just a giant elevator?
Right. Ooh. Yeah,
And it was
that's
just an
that's a good
elevator to
point.
go down, right? I'm just saying. Because
Man,
like
that's crazy.
all you have to do is just go to the island, then you just go under, and no one's gonna know what you're doing underground.
Man, that's
Because if it leads to the water, so I'm just saying, like,
no, that's a good point though. Okay, so while we're on the Epstein situation and all that, it's like yeah, the islands that was already sketchy and out of the way and whatever in the first place. But you've got like Epstein Island. You've got first of all the Virgin Islands. That's a sketchy situation. And then speaking of the Virgin Islands, Richard Branson, Virgin Mobile, Virgin Records, Virgin Air, right? And why naming that Virgin in the first place? Like they're gonna say, oh, it's after the islands and all this, whatever. But there's a clear relationship between Branson and Epstein and all this, whatever. It's like it looks super sketchy. And then you tie in like the Bermuda Triangle situation and other disappearances and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it seems like whether it's only Epstein type stuff or just rich people in general, I think hiding below the water and like doing if you had an obscene amount of money to where you couldn't exist as a human just because you would be preyed upon, it's like you have to fake your death.
yeah, but also you don't have to worry about nuclear fallout. You don't have to worry about war. You're underground. You're underwater.
I don't even know if that's a concern, but like if you were just ultimately elite and like, you know, maybe you're insulated from those problems in general, but like what if there's a society of people that are like you're saying, you know, I don't know if you said Tupac or whoever, right? But like
Kobe.
Kobe, that's what she said. Yeah. Not to get the two confused, but it's like what if there really is a whole society of people that live down there that have just, you know, gone to such a level and it's like, what is that world like?
Yeah, I mean that would be a utopian society, right? With execution if you don't participate, which is basically
oh yeah, you're
what
in the club.
yeah, like like you can't leave. Like it's almost like that we were talking about the last episode about you shrink down, like that movie where
Oh.
what's his face now? But Matt Damon like
Yeah.
shrinks down. Like that's all it turns into is just like you can't go back. Like this is your new world. Like you're not gonna be able to see day, or the only way you're able to see day is if you go up and you fake like you're out on a yacht, like and then you have to go back down.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that way you can get away with anything down there, and everything is just pleasure. Like it's whatever, and then everybody up here is doing the same life and society, but it just fuels like they'll just take from whatever they need up here, food or grass or whatever. and
It
just bring down
almost
here.
seems like, not to say that's the facts and let me throw something attached to it, but like if that were true, and even if that weren't true, our society as a whole, it seems like we should be doing better than we're doing, and we're not. And it's all like, hey, why aren't we doing better? And we're all like, it's the government's fault. No, it's your fault. No, it's the left or the right. And we're all pointing
Yeah.
fingers, but it's like, doesn't it just seem like somebody's maybe siphoning our resources to somewhere else? Like maybe we're not the prize pig. Like maybe there's something else going on that's more important. Like even if it's not some underwater thing, if there's just a more elite pool of people that say those other people they're idiots, they don't know what's going on. We're just gonna fund our thing, worry about our thing, and then they'll just let us live even 15 years in the past in technology or innovation or resourcefulness or updates in something, right? Let alone 100 or 200 years in technology or whatever. It's like it's a slippery slope to think that at some point there would be a group of society that does sort of separate themselves and isolate themselves. That we know that took place a long time ago.
Yeah.
So having that take place a long time ago from the time till now, it's like almost impossible that that group wouldn't further isolate and like grow, or like, you know what I mean? Or at least one of those groups wouldn't in some sort of way
Yeah. I mean,
break away entirely.
yeah, I think kind of like what you were talking about, like why, like, are they using resources or where are resources going? I think a lot of it is, and then we've talked about, I think we talked about it before, but if they allow us to be as efficient as possible and as entrepreneurial as possible, then there's no point of like their control over us. Because if somebody finds the cure for cancer and hands it out, then we don't need medicine. If they find out that we can each have a mini generator in our house to give us free electricity, then we don't need them. Like, so at the end of the day, it's like there's so much control because they know, hey, we won't be rich anymore. We won't be powerful. Everyone's just gonna be.
I'll be honest. If it wasn't like I would be content to live in a world where I go chop down trees. I have to build a house, but I can do it with hard work and for free, essentially.
Mhm.
Build a life, hunt my food, and start a family and have everything for essentially free, but give back and have a generous thing going, and then not pay taxes. Like that's kind of the perfect situation. I don't really need to be dependent on the government, to be honest. And I think if other people, which they do realize that, but if we were allowed to realize that on a collective level, you know.
I started thinking about this yesterday. How hard is it to go get your own property now, get animals, and live off the grid?
And it's not hard. I mean, living off the grid is the hardest part.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like how much, like let's say you're in debt, right? Like you're just like $20,000 in debt. But like the amount of money it takes to get out of debt nowadays and to buy a house and to buy land, it's super expensive, and you have to have money to actually like you'll see people that are like, "Oh, I have a house that I went and bought land on 10 acres and I have chickens and cows and stuff." Like some people like me, I can't just go do that tomorrow. Like
Right.
I'm not able just to be like, "Oh, I'm going to go and start
I'd
that."
love to do that. I would have been doing that, but I'm the type of person where I would have the duality of doing that, but also being a modern human at the same time. And like, you know, I may be doing live stream content of that type of stuff
Yeah.
or something, you know.
Yeah. But you know, I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, you can't like no like a lot of people nowadays can't just go and be like, you know what? I don't want to live in modern. I just want to go and be Amish. Like a lot of people
Right.
just can't do that because like you have to have money to go and do that now.
You do, and it's like the price to well, it's also first of all, it's a risk because you have to exit society almost to
Yeah.
even try to do that, and if you fail, the process of reentry is like abysmal at
Mhm.
best. But it's totally possible. Anybody can do it. It's like you literally just need to go try and be able to tough it out. But the fact that you're not allowed to try and like you can't even go anywhere, you can't find property reasonably priced to even use, you know.
Mhm.
I don't know, the sustainability is just not there for I don't know. I have a big problem with the way that the land is owned in this country.
Which, yeah, go
and
ahead.
and just the fact that like citizens have a tough time acquiring land. The land that people do own, it's overpriced, overvalued, and they're holding on to it because it's only going up in value. And the fact that there's like other countries buying our land and, you know, in sketchy places and all these things, it just goes to diminish the value of the American dream because like we're supposed to be here building white picket fences, doing whatever, but
Yep.
it's like we don't have anywhere to do any of that. We're fully capable.
Yep. Which leads me to my excitement about Greenland.
Okay. Yes.
Dude.
That is
If that
perfect.
happens, then the amount of people that could go and just start a new life over there, because if they're going to become part of the United States, like we need construction over there. We need all this stuff. Infrastructure is going to have to start. And the amount of land that's out there is at least bigger than half the United States. And like, if you're cool with living in the cold, which I am, I bet you less than 30% of America is cool with that type of temperature.
I mean, I grew up with that type of
Yeah,
stuff. It might be a little colder there, but I don't know.
I'm chilling. But like, I would love to move out there. I already talked to my wife about it. Like, hey, like, I'd be down to move.
Yeah.
Like, just to go out there, just because, like you said, it's hard to acquire all these things because it's so expensive because people just keep raising the prices. But imagine you get a do-over and you're the first ones that get to go. It's almost like when we had the 13 colonies and then they did like the Louisiana Territory and stuff and basically said, hey, just go claim the property. Like,
Do you think they would let us do that though? Because I don't. I think that they would somehow the government would acquire it first, and then it would be the government selling the property to the initial owners, and then because it's a new opportunity, the prices would be overinflated.
No. I don't think it would be overflated because, like, you need people there because the jobs, right? Like, so, like, if you have a giant plant out there, right? It's like a giant electrical plant, and you need 4,000 people to work it or something like that. You would create a little town around the plant, but you need people to go work it. So you'd say, hey, we have super cheap. You know, you get 3 acres. You could pay $200,000 for a house out there, and your job is like $70,000 a year. Boom, you get people to move out there. I don't think they would overinflate it because you need people to move out there. Now, if you're like, oh, I need people to move back, then you would inflate the prices and you drive people out, kind of like what California did. Like, they raised the prices and everyone wants to leave.
Yeah.
Right. So I think if Greenland was like, obviously, I'm not sure if the whole entire thing of Greenland is inhabitable.
Right.
But like, let's say
half
of it is, because you're getting pretty close to the Arctic. Like, I don't really know if anyone really wants to live up there. Because
I definitely would want to live in southern Greenland.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, even if it was that lower third of Greenland, that's a lot of land out there. And I'm not saying, oh, we're gonna go take it from the native people, but it's like, if it became the United States and the United States said, hey, we're gonna redistrict and we're gonna blah blah blah, and you can go out there and just buy land. Not saying like the government's gonna take that land from people that are already out there owning it. It's just like, oh, the land that's like government land, hey, we'll sell it to people that want to develop a home or something. I think that's like the next possibility. And then who knows, you know, Canada.
I was just about to say, because if Canada is also a similar situation, that's a lot of new land there, just even if it's not all inhabitable, but like having that much more land on the map that is ours. It's kind of, we probably at that point, I mean, it'd be crazy. I mean, South America is that's never gonna happen,
No.
right? That's
unless we wipe out the cartel, like nothing's gonna happen,
right. But I mean, we're getting close to half of the country or half of the world at that point. You know, it's like we're really reaching far.
Yeah.
And man, because if you compare like what we would have compared to Russia, first of all, I mean, we're already outnumbering them in most aspects anyway.
Yeah.
But in land, that's one of their biggest things is like, you know, they have a lot of land. Night and day difference. And then all of Europe is already so small.
Yeah, they don't count.
The UN, I don't know what they're doing anyway.
Their mouth is too big for their size. Like, I don't get like how they like
oh man,
they're so small. Like, Europe is tiny
They
compared to the United
forget.
States. Yeah, and they're
They
just
forget.
like, oh, you know, we want full control. It's like, if they realize those people could revolt, uprise, and just like, because it's so small, like they could just take it all over, like have a revolution, just take the whole thing over. Like, yeah, it's so funny. But they gave up their guns, guns. Like,
that's the craziest thing. But yet people are getting stabbed. There's like a lot going on. There's bombings all the time. Like they can't control anything. Maybe because they don't have guns, or you know, even a understanding of. It's like they.
I don't know. If
I
they
don't
do.
think the street cops do. Now that you say that,
I don't think the cops even have.
You just blew
guns.
my mind. There's no way. Like you're not
Yeah.
even a cop if you don't have a gun.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. Is they just think that what is it called? I just forgot the word. Um,
I don't know, but you take away the rights, you
Yeah.
know, and they can't complain about stuff and all this whatever. But then they'll have the right to get on X and say, "Oh, you stupid Americans! If you didn't have guns, you wouldn't have to deal with this isolated incident they've been told out about over the
Yeah.
internet that they really don't have anything, they don't know anything about." But also, it's like you have a queen or a king now, right? But it's like, dude, you're still under a monarchy. Like your whole country
Yeah.
is outdated.
yeah, they
Like
have
our
a
model
parliament
replaced
and
you.
everything. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I feel
And
bad
and
for all those
and
people over there.
and you don't see, okay, so all these countries that you know, some of these African countries that like finally have gotten to a certain level to, they all follow our model. They all become like, when's the last time you saw a new country or a country reformat and it's like, okay, there's the king. They don't do that. Like that's an outdated concept. Like
Yeah.
your entire, everything that you stand for. It's crazy to me that they're just like okay with it though. I guess it works
Yeah, I mean,
for
eventually
them.
there's gonna be a tipping point, and I think that now that they have that new guy over there, Kira Steimer or whatever, he's like that super liberal guy who's like, anyway, I heard it's bad, but I think people are starting to wake up that they're like, hey,
Oh, they are.
the liberal idea is not working. Like,
But it's a slow thing, and it's happening in our country with the left as well. Like they're waking up to the idea of, you know, just red pill ideology as a
Yeah.
whole. But in Europe, especially too, they're starting to do the thing, but there's still this attachment to the former ideas of like, okay, yes, but there was this thing that I was trying to do with that. Like why? Like, I was talking to somebody from Denmark yesterday, and he came in and he was very excited about America and Trump and how you guys understand things and, you know, Second Amendment and First Amendment and all this great stuff, and just our Constitution in
Yeah.
general being a great you know, piece of literature, and he's very passionate about all this stuff. And he's talking about how he's happy to be here with his family and participate in this country and all this, but that's where it starts to go downhill, and he just has this he has this like inkling of socialism that he wants to slide in, like that he
Yeah.
thinks could just be the one solution to why we're not a 5-star country.
Yeah.
But yet those are the same ideas that we've been sliding a little sliver of, and it slides downhill. Like it's slippery slope, man.
Yeah, I mean, it took 4 years, 4 years, and it was up here and it was fine. The economy was fine. Like Trump was in, he was leaving. It was fine before COVID, and then COVID happens, and then it was like, all right, we're gonna tell you everything we want you to do, and you can't say this, or we're gonna cancel you, and it just started going straight downhill, and people were like, okay, enough. This can't happen, and I'm glad people woke up because
Yeah, but you know what's rough, because like Americans aren't gonna take it, and it's like you'll see the Americans like you know, we're just outside not wearing masks or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
is going on in our country, but over there like you would see just people getting controlled, and like, so if you live over there and you see everybody getting controlled, you're not gonna feel that same like American brashness to stand up to your government. They don't do that over there, you know, and so if their government's gonna try to paint them as a bad guy, they're scared of being painted as a bad guy, you
Yeah.
know. We're over here, we like to believe in what is it? Not resolution, but redemption. You know, we love a good redemption story over here.
yeah, but what was it like? We left and we were like, hey, we're not gonna pay your taxes anymore.
Yep.
We're doing our own thing, and it's very much like that. It's like that's what people forget is like for me, honestly, these people that are socialists here in the United States, it's like, hey, just go live in those countries.
Yeah.
Like you can go get a citizenship over
You
there.
you really can.
Like you can just leave. Like I don't know why you're staying here because to me it's like you want this area that you've lived in
It's fake.
yeah, it's 100% fake. And for me it's like the reason people are still super patriotic is because we all remember why we are here and get to live in here. Like my dad used to take us to Mexico when we were growing up.
Mhm.
And literally like you go just past the border, it's like third world country poverty
Yep.
at some places, and it's like you go there and then you come back and it's like, oh, I appreciate where I
Right.
live because this is the result of that type of government, right? So it's like people that want to be socialist but want the America for how it is. It's like the America that how it is isn't because of socialism. So if you want socialism, go live over there. You can pick. There's like 25 countries out there that you can go pick, but you don't want to because you see what happens on the internet. Like you see all these
It's
things.
like wanting to get rid of the bouncer at the club, but then complaining that like homeless people are wandering in the club, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you can't have them both, and people wake up real quick when they get met with reality. Like a lot of left leaning people get hit with a home invasion or something, or it's like quickly they're at the gun range. Like, how does this work? And like they've never thought about this in their life,
Yeah.
but like they're like, yeah, this is a thing.
Yeah, and that's the one nice part about us having the Second Amendment is like we're able to protect ourselves and not have to worry about the government approving us to protect ourselves. Like
Or having to rely on the government to protect us because we
Yeah.
know that they're not, equipped to respond.
yeah, that's why like a super small version of what you just said is like here in Texas, people have 30-06, 30-07, right?
Yeah.
And like 30-06 just straight up banning you from having a gun on the premises. And for me, it's like, oh, are you saying you're going to guarantee my safety? Because you're saying I can't protect myself in here, but are you going to protect me? No, you're not going to protect me. So that law, like to me, or that rule that's there is like super annoying. But if you look at big picture, it's like that's why we have the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
It's like so that I don't have to worry about the government coming and protecting me. Like you've already seen what's happened in California. They don't even care about their citizens, and that's in regards to water. And they couldn't even protect their citizens there. So it's like people put so much trust into the government, but it's like that's why America is America. It's because you don't. It's supposed to be minimal government. It's because you only trust yourself and your community, because that's what strengthens the people together. It's not, oh, we're strengthened by a government, because governments fall all the time.
Well, also, it's like the whole thing is like the American people.
Yeah.
It's like we the people. It's like it's always about the people of America, not the government of America. So why would we create this entity to protect us and shield us from everything?
Mm-hmm.
Then we become dependent on it, and we lack self-sufficiency, and we become weak, and we don't have that American spirit, that thing that makes us American and the people. And so when we lose that vision and that spirit of what it is to like fight, and like that's what it is. It's like, don't tread on us.
Yep.
We're not gonna back down. We're not gonna surrender. We're the ones that will, meet you at every level.
Yep.
For whatever is going on, we're gonna defend ourselves. It's all self-defense. It's all, that's our mentality. But it was given to us from the beginning, and it clearly says, a well-regulated militia and all these things. It's not like people have these things, and it's not like the literature was trying to say anything other than protect yourself and stand together. Like it's not about literally threatening somebody with a gun, but it's about the invisible threat that is in the air because of the presence of reality.
Yeah.
That I'm going to own. And so you're just going to have to keep that in mind.
Yeah. And that's the thing is people forget, like I was going to say like Trudeau, like obviously he's gone now, or he's leaving in Canada.
Good riddance.
He basically told the citizens like, you don't have the right to protect yourself in Canada. Like that's the government's right. And here, that's why I'm so glad we have this, is because you don't have to worry about some bureaucrat saying, oh, you can't protect yourself. You're just a number to me. I don't care. And ultimately that just strengthens the United States. But like you were saying, nothing says you have the right to assault your neighbor, or you have the right to go and shoot up people or do any of that. The whole point of the gun is, like you said, if everybody has a gun, you're not going to pull out a gun.
I would put it like this, because some people think it's a scary weapon and all this. It's a shield. It's always a shield.
Yeah.
And if you, like, you wouldn't hop in the car. Like, if you believe that the seatbelt is going to, save your life, you put that seatbelt on when you get in the car, and that's just what you do. You might not want to put that seatbelt on, but you're going to do it because it's going to save your life. a lot of people say, I don't want to have to carry a gun. I don't want to have to do all these things. It's not about wanting to do it. Grow up, take the responsibility, set the example, and also just think about it. If literally the rest of the world's citizens, just the spirit of the citizens, they're not, they don't have arms. They don't do these things. They let their government walk all over them. They do these things. If we just, everybody carried, we're instantly going to get rid of all the crime, and everything is going to be a standstill because nobody's going to do anything. But we're also going to have that confidence and that solidarity as a country to like represent to the rest of the world. Like it's not like we're an army, but we're damn near an army. We're a militia, and we have the army as well, but that's the government. We're the, so it's not like we're relying on them. We have a voice at the table now.
Yeah, the government protects us for sure. Like we all pay in because the military and all that. It's good, important. But the whole point of militia, and people forget this, and this is something I'm actually super like, I want to get not necessarily involved in, but I think the country, not say I don't want to get involved, but like I don't want to do something tomorrow. But like I definitely think that the country needs to get on board with more militias in communities that are protecting us within our communities. And
we'll see it.
But that's the whole point of like a militia is, hey, this militia is protecting us against the government overreach of like, oh, are cops going to come to your house and try to pull you out? Or, a militia is going to go and stand in front of that door and say, no, you're not coming in here because like you're infringing on this person's rights. And like people forget that's what the militia is. And obviously you have like gangs and stuff, but it's not a gang because it's not involved in money laundering and drugs. The whole idea is this militia.
Well, you know what? I think you kind of landed on something is that, people talk about this all the time. Gangs originally weren't all this. They were for the community. They for all these, if you look at the CRIP acronym, it's literally community, something, right?
Yeah.
All these things, GD, growth and development, all these gangs originally were sort of community leadership, you can say paramilitia almost ideologies, but almost a step before that, like not even militant, not even militia yet. And yet this is where it's like debatable what really happened. We get different accounts of history. Some people will say, then people just did evil things and took this thing and turned it into what we have today. And it's just bad and corrupted, just like every organization could be. Or, people labeled it this thing and sort of forced it to be what it is and bastardized the whole concept, probably out of fear of an actual militia, right? So I don't know. I know that we definitely have never really had an actual militia in any sort of feasible sense outside of maybe like close to the Civil War,
Yeah, but that's, for me, the whole point of a militia is, it's not like the National Guard, because National Guard can be federalized, but if you have all these militias, then all the militia commanders say, hey, come over here. Like we draw all the militias to go fight what we need to fight or defend what we need to defend.
I think it's all defense anyway.
Well, I'm not saying fight. I'm saying like you have to fight if you're defending. Like
right.
if you're, but that's what I'm not saying like no gun owner, or at least 95% of gun owners aren't like in it for assault purposes. They're all in it for defense purposes. Like, and I think that's, if we can get more militias formed, and I'm not saying like these groups that are like white supremacist hate groups, because I don't think that's a militia. I just think that's a gang. But it's like if you get a militia, those militias also weren't just there to carry guns. They were there to help the community, help be firefighters, help be like they were there to help their community stay safe because their families were in that community. They lived in that community. So if we can get militias together, then crime just leaves that community, because they'll be like, hey, I'm not going to mess with this community. It's too hard to do crime there. I'm going to leave. And then they go somewhere else. So it's like, I think those militias within communities would really help communities. Like,
what the issue also is, that they drive us to do these like 9-to-5 sort of rat race style games. And so that we're manipulated into not socializing in that type of aspect to where we would just group up and, you know, and people like to do it, you know, in certain circles or whatever, maybe hang out outside or group up, or you know, sometimes barbecues or certain things like that in a
Yeah.
community. You know, everybody might be outside, or a block party or something like that. But to really have people that are outside in your community, you know, making sure that everything is fine, assessing things, communicating, and all these people know each other and they're from the community. They're not just placed here because of work responsibilities or whatever. If all these people were in the community together and they didn't have responsibilities outside of the community, this would be their job. This would be, you know, certain things, and not everybody would just be a protector
Yeah.
and it's like everybody's walking around with guns.
Yeah.
We might have guns,
Yeah.
but we're building things, we're fixing things, we're teaching people things, we're, you know, planning group community decisions,
Yeah.
we're a lot of meetings and, you know, a lot of focus on everybody's on the same page here. You know, the children grow up with everybody on the same page. It takes a village. Nobody has a village anymore. Nobody even has a family anymore.
Literally.
It's crazy.
It's all split up. But I
Yeah.
think that one thing, if we went back to that lifestyle of community members participate together for the better of the community and they're all freaking strapped, like, I think that the world goes to a better place.
I mean, the world is a better place when dudes are allowed to do dude shit and just really do it.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like we live in a passive society, and you know, women like to do women things, and that's fine. That's great.
Yeah.
But it's like we might let them do that, and then they would like us to do guy things, but guy things, like, we don't really get to do guy things because guy things are dangerous, dirty, you know, like
Yeah.
it's a lot of, you know, it's not always great. And so we sort of baby down our guy version into a socially acceptable, female acceptable
Yeah.
version of what guyism is. And it's a total diminishment of masculinity in general. But like when we're allowed to just do stuff and you get, I don't know if you've ever had like a retreat or like a weekend and it's like you just get out there, it's like, oh man, the perspective that you get.
Yeah.
And then also just like sometimes the drive that you get, especially just being around other dudes that are doing things. It's like, I'm a dude, I'm going to do things.
When you're all
Simple.
dudes on the same page and you're all
Right.
doing
And
that,
that's the bigger
then
thing.
you're like, wow, this feels right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, well said. That's pretty much it right there.
Yeah. It's like, why do you think they were trying to take down male masculinity
Well-
and stuff during COVID? Is because that's, I mean, ultimately, if you get rid of that, you crumble a whole entire society.
You do. And we almost forgot that. Like our society, all societies is sort of built on that.
Yep.
And it's the backbone of everything, truly. And then we just pacified ourselves. We let ourselves get complacent and we lulled ourselves to sleep. And then all of a sudden, we started feeling bad because of this. We started getting problems, mental health issues, all sorts of weird things. And it's like society in itself has issues because it's like, then, you know, men are acting like men, but society needs men, you
Yeah.
know, and then so, you know, it's a lot of problems all on top of each other. But the solution is just real simple, you know? I mean,
Yep.
just a little bit of camaraderie, competition, and, you know, just good spirit all around. Like that's all it really takes. You know, the founding fathers, that whole ideology of our whole country, like that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's dudes doing things all on the same page.
And you know what really pisses me off about that is like those guys were all under 25
Yeah.
or all under 30. Like they weren't all these 45, 50-year-old guys who are about to retire and running the country. They were a bunch of young cats getting after it.
They
Like-
were, and they were having lots of kids. They had lots of land. They had, you know, like, so the reach of them was just insane. I forget exactly what it is, but you know, was it Thomas Jefferson? Like just all you hear about all his kids and like the slave kids and all that stuff. It's like, dude, the lineage that these guys are spreading, and like nowadays, like you can't really even get land. And it's like people aren't having kids like they're supposed to. People shame you. I think it was like I saw a little baby saying it the other day. But people shame you for having a lot of kids nowadays.
Yeah.
When really you should be having a lot of kids. It's like especially when nobody else is having kids. Yeah, I'll have kids because then it's like you got to think what their lives are going to be like. if they have a big family and more of the world is populated by their family and the rest of the world is populated by less people in general, they're going to have more influence. They're going to have, more control. And that's what the elites know.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they want us to not be having kids.
Population cleansing.
Yeah.
Get rid of all of them. But yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, I just ultimately, like, to end that kind of subject, I mean, that's the old adage of like hard times create
Yeah.
hard men, and then hard men create good times creates weak men, and
Yep.
weak men create bad times. So it's like full circle, right? I don't know if I even said that right, but it's like
You got there.
we just need more guys, and I think we're starting to see a lot more of it. We're starting to see
are.
a lot of pissed off people that are like, you know what, we need to bring it back to the good times, to where things made sense. And I mean, we get some militias in there.
It's a little bit of like, some of it is like, yeah, I'm glad to see masculinity back, but some of it is like, it's a little bit misleading sometimes because like you might get a little bit of like brashness coming out because it's like, okay, masculinity needs to come back. So it comes back aggressive.
Yeah.
But then it's like, but we'll see, like we just needed some people to do that, like even Andrew Tate's and certain people like that, to just have enough of that ideology being talked about in the space for somebody to go.
He's an idiot though.
But for somebody to understand, like in the masculine space, oh, okay, I like he's saying something crazy or whatever, but there's an element to standing on your own, whatever life lessons people would like to attribute to him, and I'm not just saying they're all from him. Like there's just good general advice that he maybe even skirts behind.
Sure,
certain things.
Yeah, but
having that in the space, it's like then other people that are more rational minded will bring out the truth of like, okay, what does that look like for society right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think society or communities, like starting small, right? Like the militia thing we were talking about, like that turns the community good, right? Gets rid of crime, but then it also teaches young men how to be men over their lives, how to be good fathers, right? To not abandon their wives or not to cheat or leave. Like, so ultimately it forms this great cycle of like good generations. Like if you get good men teaching boys to be men, like that's where it starts. But like here we currently have like people teaching men, like
we have children raising children,
objectifying, like this is like disrespecting your mother, disrespecting your father. Like you have all these things that are tearing our society apart. If you could just only teach the society how to function the way it's supposed to function, then I think we go back and everything's great. Like, because then people, like you said, are on the same page. And if everyone's on the same page, society of just to, anyway.
No, yeah.
So, yeah, dude. I mean, I'm excited for what's coming. I mean, it's gonna be good, and I don't really see something stopping this wave because it's pretty big.
I don't either. I'm pretty excited for everything coming. I really don't see anything that could get away with it at all.
Yeah.
I actually saw real quick. I just saw you said something when you're saying that thing about the strong times. It was a quote from Mel Gibson I saw off a podcast the other day. He said, "Love the," and it wasn't even trying to be a quote. It was just something he said, and I was like, "Damn, that's good." He said, "Love the warrior, hate the war," and I was like, "Damn, that's a good one," because it's kind of like that. Warrior. Better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. But it's also like, don't hate the player, hate the game, sort of thing. And I don't know. I just thought that was pretty strong because it's like that's really true. Like the warrior. It's like you feel, your heart is with the warrior. You see these videos of like, Ukraine or whoever. It's like, you just feel with whatever soldier's perspective, in that video, you can't help it. There's like a real humanity of fighting for your life of like, and you see the terror of like, I saw a video the other day of two, a Russian ran into a Ukrainian trench and they were like, oh shit, wrong trench. And they both like freaked out because they were like, enemies so close and they just ran away. But I mean, you just feel that. Yeah, that's real right there.
Yeah, I agree.
But You want to wrap it up there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Sweet. Sounds good.
Cool.
Another episode.